Phoenix Nights. Chapter 2158. The third stage of the human clan's ancient road was the same as the first stage. It had been abandoned for countless years. In the vast world, there were only ruins left that the human clan had once appeared in. The ancient ruins were almost completely covered by vines and weeds. Even the teleportation formation platform was among the vines. Fortunately, the teleportation formation platform on the human clan's ancient road was personally refined by the strongest of the human clan with rare divine metal. Even if a sage wanted to destroy it, it would not be an easy task. Even if everything in the third stage of the human clan was destroyed, this teleportation formation platform was definitely not immortal. There were even Tao patterns left by a supreme martial artist on it. Gu Fei soared into the sky and arrived high up in the sky. A wild aura came rushing over. On this land, there seemed to be no other human clan except for them. In the wild mountains, there were shouts from time to time. The people of the Meng clan were hunting wild beasts in the forest. For these hunters, this was both a challenge and a training. That is, at this time, in the direction of the west, thousands of miles away, a monstrous fire appeared. That was the divine fire formed by the fire dragon Chi of the Red Dragon Elder. Looks like the Dragon Elder has met his match, Gu Fei muttered to himself. He saw that the whole sky in the west was illuminated by the red divine fire. In the monstrous fire, he could vaguely see a red dragon in the fire. The Dragon Elder was only one step away from breaking through to the half-saint realm. However, he had been stuck at the ninth heaven and could not advance any further. This might be an opportunity. There were many examples of people breaking through in a life-or-death battle. Usually, only when they were forced to a dead end would they be enlightened in a hopeless situation. Powerful waves of power came from the west. The wild beast that was fighting with the Dragon Elder was extremely powerful. A strong and fierce aura came from it. Could it be that there are ancient beasts in this place? Gu Fei was a little surprised. It should be known that ancient beasts were all existences that could kill powerful figures. Some of them were even strong enough to kill sages. Old Flood Dragon found it difficult to defeat that fierce beast in a short period of time. At this time, in the eastern sky, Gu Zhong was displaying his divine might, and was fighting against a winged tiger. That is, Gu Fei couldn't help being startled when he saw that winged tiger. That was one of the four great fierce beasts, the Qiongqi. He didn't expect to see such a peerless fierce beast here. It really is Qiongqi. Gu Fei couldn't help breaking out in a cold sweat for Gu Zhong. It should be known that the four great primordial ominous beasts were so powerful that they could slaughter saints. Otherwise, they wouldn't be worthy of their title. It looks like Qiongqi, but it's not the real Qiongqi, Gu Fei muttered to himself. The wings on the back of the tiger were not natural, but were condensed from the two divine essences that rushed out of the tiger's body. From afar, even Gu Fei couldn't tell that the wings on the tiger's back weren't made of flesh and blood. However, what was certain was that the tiger that was fighting with Gu Zhong definitely possessed the bloodline of one of the four great ancient beasts. Although its bloodline wasn't pure and it couldn't grow a pair of wings, it was still powerful enough to contend against Huang Gu Zhong. However, Gu Zhong didn't seem to be trying to kill it. Could it be that he wanted to subdue it? Gu Fei only needed a moment to figure out what his disciple wanted to do. It seemed that having such a mount wasn't bad. He didn't seem to have a flashy mount. Should I go and subdue a dire beast as a mount? Gu Fei muttered to himself. In ancient times, many great powers of the human race had the habit of subduing strange beasts as mounts. The legendary Tao ancestor also had an azure ox as a mount. Forget it, there's no beast in the desolate world that's worthy of my attention, Gu Fei muttered to himself. His divine sense instantly enveloped the surrounding 50,000 miles. He couldn't sense the existence of any powerful beasts in this area. Given Zhang Xian's current cultivation and experience, ordinary savage beasts weren't enough to catch his eye, unless they were ancient divine beasts like the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise, or the offspring of these divine beasts. However, these ancient divine beasts had long gone extinct. Their descendants wouldn't necessarily be able to be found in the human world. At this time, Gu Fei sensed that other than the old flood dragon and Gu Zhong, the others didn't seem to have encountered any powerful beasts. They were still rushing forward without stopping. The 12 bandits had already gone 10,000 miles away. As for the iron-blood Taoist, he directly went 10,000 miles away and disappeared without a trace. It seemed that he couldn't find an opponent at all. However, this place was very big and seemed to be endless. This was definitely a superstar. Gu Fei felt a little uneasy. Why couldn't he see any traces of humans on this superstar? In the distant past, something big must have happened here that led to the complete extinction of the human race. Other than some ruins, there was nothing left. However, this place was a paradise for beasts. Even fierce beasts with the Cheongqi bloodline had appeared. It was hard to guarantee that there wouldn't be any heaven-defying beasts jumping out. Gu Fei once again opened his inner world and released the 3 immortal emperors. This time, he didn't order the 3 immortal emperors to participate in the ongoing hunt. Instead, he ordered the 3 immortal emperors to lead a group of their subordinates to clean up the ruins of the human race. The 3 immortal emperors were very efficient. They quickly cleaned up the ruins of the human race. This was the ruins of an ancient city, and the ancient city was not small. From the bricks and tiles on the ruins, it could be seen that this ancient city was once incomparably prosperous. The collapsed city tower was still as huge as a hill. The main road in the ancient city was clearly visible. Each of the blue bricks on the main road was about 3 meters tall, and should have weighed 10,000 pounds. It was hard to imagine how such a huge city could be completely destroyed. Could it be that it was destroyed by the experts among the demons, just like in the second stage of the human race's ancient road? This possibility was very high. However, in the ruins of the ancient city, Gu Fei didn't see a single skeleton left behind by the experts of the human race. If the demons had attacked, the ruins of the ancient city should have been full of skeletons. Moreover, the skeletons of the demons were easy to identify because the demons' skeletons were all black. Boom! Just as Gu Fei was deep in thought, a loud noise suddenly came from afar. The entire ground shook violently, as if the earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking. What's going on? Chapter 2159. Boundless earth. Incomparably vast at the end of the southern heaven and earth. Suddenly, an incomparably huge black chi surged up. The black chi permeated between heaven and earth that even reached into the endless starry sky. An extremely powerful wave came from the south. Sensing this aura, countless living beings were trembling. Even the most ferocious of beasts became obedient at this time. That is, Gu Fei was incomparably shocked. There was indeed something wrong with this place. The powerful pressure emitted from the black chi. It enveloped the entire great wilderness. Could it be that a demon ancestor has appeared? Gu Fei felt somewhat uneasy. Such an earth-shattering scene. It was really somewhat frightening. Even he was extremely shocked. Could it be that demons were really everywhere? It was really hard to imagine. It seemed that this ancient road of the human race was not as simple as it seemed. It was indeed a road of cultivation filled with dangers. Master. At this time, Gu Zhong rushed back. He was unable to subdue that tiger beast which had the bloodline of the ancient peerless Cheongqi. He couldn't help but feel somewhat unhappy. Rumble! The heavens and earth shook. Within the black chi in the southern horizon, a vague demonic shadow was faintly discernible. A humanoid creature was struggling. It seemed as if it wanted to rush out. What's going on? The voice of the iron-blood Taoist could be heard. He had also returned. The demonic chi in the south soared to the sky. It seemed that a peerless demon had appeared. This caused everyone to be incomparably shocked. Woo! At this time, Gu Zhong took out a bugle horn and blew it. Then, the experts of the Ming clan, who had been stunned by the demonic power in the surrounding forest, woke up with a start. They all turned around and rushed back to the ruins. Very soon Yao Yu and Zhong Liming and the 12 bandits have returned to the ruins. Everyone looked at the black gas at the end of the southern horizon in horror. All feeling very uneasy. As if they were about to be in big trouble. Gu Fei opened his inner world. He stored the 3 undying emperors and the Ming clan into his inner world. You guys wait here. I'll check it out, Gu Fei said as he flew towards the south. He made no attempt to conceal his powerful aura. Wherever it passes, all the beasts are trembling. The Iron Blood Taoist gave chase. He wanted to see what was going on. None of the others had the cultivation and strength of Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoist. So he stayed in the ruins. I don't dare to barge in now. Very soon Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoist arrived near the black gas. The black gas had actually occupied an area with a radius of several thousand miles. It was pitch black inside. Even with Gu Fei's martial Dao heavenly eye, he couldn't see through it. Master! This! The Iron Blood Taoist saw this. He was shocked. Roar! There was a faint demonic howl coming from the black gas. It seemed as if there were countless devils roaring. It also seemed as if there were countless living beings wailing and struggling. The demonic aura coming from the demonic chi caused the 2 experts to feel uneasy. If it was an ordinary person, they would have long been aroused by their inner demons. The inner demons of cultivators were very terrifying. Some of them didn't have a strong enough mental state. If they were sexually assaulted by demons, it would arouse the evil side in their hearts. Thus, they would go berserk. This was also why Gu Fei wanted to train everyone's mental state. Roar! Just as Gu Fei was staring at the demonic chi in front of him, a furious roar suddenly sounded from within the demonic chi. Then, a demonic figure shrouded in black demonic flames pounced towards him. How is this possible? Gu Fei's shock was no small matter. This was a demon he had seen before. Back then, in the extreme north of the soaring dragon ancestral star, there was a demon like this. Even the primordial fire god couldn't suppress this demon. Wasn't the primordial fire demon badly injured by a group of almighty beings? You don't know where he escaped to? How could it appear here? At this moment, it was no longer up to Gu Fei to think. Because the primordial fire demon, which was so powerful that it made his heart palpitate, had already pounced in front of him. Kill! Gu Fei attacked. He used his strongest technique, the Primal Chaos Fist. He used his strongest combat technique, Chaos Fist. A power of the utmost ferocity. It shattered the void. It turned into a destructive storm. It charged towards the primordial fire demon. So what if it was the primordial fire demon? So what if it was the primordial fire demon? Gu Fei was very determined. Gu Fei's mind was extremely firm. The undefeatable fighting spirit in his heart was burning. This kind of peerlessly powerful opponent. It made the battle blood in his body boil. The primordial fire demon stretched out his hand. The demonic hand instantly enveloped the entire world. It completely ignored Gu Fei's primal chaos fist. At this moment the Iron Blood Taoist had also met the strongest enemy in his life. An immortal divine bird actually rushed out from the demonic energy in front of them. To strike at him, war broke out. Unavoidable. Gu Fei's fists radiated boundless primal divine light. Broke through the giant hand of the primal fire demon. Rush out. What happened? This ominous demon doesn't seem to be as strong as I imagined it to be. Gu Fei was flabbergasted. You know, the primal fire demon was one of the 5 elements demon ancestors. The day the demon appeared in the north, the primordial fire demon was locked in a battle with the ghost emperor of Fengdu. And finally got away. Even the explosion of the undying body could not kill the primordial fire demon. Gu Fei could be where he is today. All because of what happened at the bottom of the frost jade pool. The yin-yang jade pendant from the immortal body. This primordial fire demon forced the indestructible body to explode. That means a lot to him. There's no doubt about it. As good as killing his benefactor. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Gu Fei continued to display his martial arts combat skills. Engaged in a fierce battle with that ferocious demon from the sky to the ground and from the earth to the sky. Wherever it passes, the void is destroyed. The 2 super experts are like the gods of destruction. Shatter everything. Destroy everything. Powerful energy waves spread out. The whole world is shaking. Puny human! I will swallow you in one gulp. The primordial fire demon sent out a wave of divine will. Then, in the endless demonic fire, a pitch-black vortex appeared and swallowed Gu Fei. A power that could devour the entire world surged out from the pitch-black vortex. It enveloped Gu Fei in an instant. It pulled him towards the black vortex. Chaos reversal. Gu Fei used one of the 9 secrets of the immortal path, the chaos reversal secret art. A strange power spread out from his body. Then, the devouring power that enveloped him was immediately disrupted. This is... The primordial fire demon seemed surprised. In the demonic fire, 2 cold and fierce gazes appeared. It swept towards Gu Fei. It was as if she wanted to see through him inside and out. At the same time, endless demonic patterns appeared in the demonic fire. They interweaved into an ancient demonic diagram. It suppressed Gu Fei. The energy waves emitted from the demonic diagram made Gu Fei feel danger. The first thing he did was to retreat backward. But the demonic diagram followed him like a shadow. Chapter 2160. The primordial fire demon was extremely powerful. Endless demonic patterns intertwined to form a demonic diagram of sealing the heavens and sealed Gu Fei. The entire world was enveloped by this demonic diagram. All of Gu Fei's paths of retreat were sealed, and he had nowhere to run. Virum! Just as the demonic diagram was about to seal Gu Fei, a sword chime was heard from the primordial fire demon's body. A purple-gold sword aura rushed out and landed in the primordial fire demon's hand. However, the moment Gu Fei held onto the purple-gold sword, the demonic diagram that emitted a destructive demonic aura gradually became transparent and then disappeared into the void. The endless demonic flames were dissipating and the primordial fire demon's figure also became incorporeal. Then, it completely disappeared into the void as if it had never been there. How could this be? Seeing this, Gu Fei was extremely shocked. The extremely powerful primordial fire demon had disappeared without a trace before his eyes. Could this have all been an illusion? Gu Fei was extremely shocked. Even with his state of mind, he had still been bewitched by an illusion. This was too unbelievable. One should know that his mind was extremely firm. At this time, Gu Fei realized that the Iron Blood Priest, who was hundreds of meters away from him, was continuously attacking as if he was fighting against something. However, there was nothing in front of the Iron Blood Priest. He was fighting against the air. Needless to say, the Iron Blood Priest had fallen for it as well. He had already fallen into an illusion and was unable to extricate himself. He was walking step by step towards the demonic aura before him. Wake up quickly! Seeing this, Gu Fei hurriedly used the divine voice of the Great Path. The divine voice of the Great Path was like a blow to the head. The Iron Blood Priest's body immediately trembled and he stopped. Then, his expression became extremely shocked. How could this be? The Iron Blood Taoist's voice began to tremble. This was simply too unimaginable. Wasn't he fighting against the undying bird? The scene was so realistic. Gu Fei did not say much. He directly opened his inner world and stored the Iron Blood Taoist inside. The Iron Blood Taoist was different from him. He had the purple gold divine sword in his hand. Just now, it was the wisp of divinity on the purple gold divine sword that woke him up from the illusion. If he had not subconsciously used the purple gold divine sword, he would probably still be trapped in the illusion and unable to extricate himself. In the end, he would be lured into the demonic aura in front of him. What's going on? Could it be the legendary demon? Gu Fei knew that the thing in the devil chi was really terrifying to be able to make him fall into an illusion. It seemed that only demonic creatures above the saint level had such an ability. At this moment, Gu Fei held the purple gold divine sword in his hand. The demonic power that emanated from the demonic aura in front of him could no longer affect him. I'd like to see what's causing all this trouble. With the purple gold divine sword in hand, Gu Fei walked directly into the surging and mighty demonic aura in front of him. The purple gold divine sword emitted a powerful wave of divinity that blocked the surrounding demonic aura. This powerful wave of divinity protected Gu Fei and allowed him to walk in the demonic aura without being affected by it. After Gu Fei's divine will merged with the powerful wave of divinity on the purple-gold divine sword, it could leave his body and envelop the void within a radius of several dozen kilometers with him as the center. He sensed that there were countless skeletons floating in the gigantic pillar of demonic aura. Most of these skeletons belonged to the human race. However, the skeletons of some of the foreign races were incomparably huge. They were like black flood dragons that were thousands of meters long. Their huge heads were like small mountains. Moreover, their heads had already transformed into dragon horns that only true dragons had. This black flood dragon was incomparably powerful and was in the process of transforming into a true dragon. Gu Fei knew that this black flood dragon was likely to be even stronger than his disciple, Old Flood Dragon. However, it had died here, leaving behind a cold corpse that floated in the demonic aura. There were also many undying corpses of the human race floating in the air. Moreover, these people's clothes were very ancient, and did not seem to be the clothes of modern people. Skeletons and corpses were floating in the air. This scene made Gu Fei's heart palpitate. There were actually countless living beings that had fallen here, becoming bones or cold corpses. What had happened here in the distant past? No one knew, because those who knew had probably become cold corpses here. Gu Fei discovered that all the corpses had rushed up from below, and then sunk back down. Below this demonic aura pillar seemed to be an azure hell. Without hesitation, Gu Fei directly sank down. In the demonic aura, he seemed to be unable to sense the passage of time. All of this was extremely strange. There were corpses floating around him. Gu Fei did not know how deep he had sunk. After a little less than an hour, he finally sensed a huge object below him. It was a stone palace. Gu Fei sensed that this stone palace was directly below him. The entire stone palace was built from a kind of pitch-black stone filled with demonic aura. Gu Fei discovered that these black stones seemed to be chaos magic stones at first glance. However, upon closer inspection, these black stones could not be compared to chaos magic stones at all. These should be ordinary magic stones. Although they carried a demonic aura, these stones did not have natural primordial magic runes condensed from the world. This was the simplest and most effective way to identify chaos magic stones. Within chaos magic stones, there were naturally evolved magic runes condensed from the world. The black stone palace was 70 to 80 feet tall. On the ground in front of the stone palace, there were scattered beads of blood. These blood beads did not seem to have solidified and were sparkling like high-quality agate. Beside the blood droplet, there was also a broken spear on the ground. How is this possible? Seeing this scene, Gu Fei couldn't help but be shocked to the extreme. There was actually blood in this place that had not dried up. One had to know that this place was filled with demonic aura. Even the demonic energy here could not corrode these blood beads on the ground. Could it be that these blood beads were the blood of a supreme being? Or the human emperor's blood? Only the blood of such an existence would not be corroded by the demonic energy. A few blood beads and a broken spear. All of this puzzled Gu Fei. Could it be that a great battle had taken place here? He noticed that other than the blood beads on the ground that still had spirituality, even the divinity contained within the broken spear had completely disappeared. Gu Fei pondered for a long time before regaining his wits. He looked at the half-open stone door as if this stone palace was a man-eating beast, causing his heart to palpitate. Chapter 2161. A demonic hall built from black demonic stones floated in the air. Gu Fei wielded the violet gold divine sword fearlessly as he arrived before the demonic hall and pushed open the stone door. However, the moment he pushed open the door, he saw a figure standing silently behind the stone door, staring at him. What? Gu Fei was taken aback. He never imagined that there would be someone behind the stone door. Goosebumps rose all over his body and he was about to attack. However, at this moment, he suddenly realized that the person behind the stone door did not emit any aura of life. A dead person. Gu Fei scrutinized the person and saw that the person behind the stone door was a middle-aged man dressed in beast skin. He seemed to be a human from the desolate era. This middle-aged man was not tall. His eyes were wide open, but there was a deathly gray color in his eyes. There was not a trace of divine light in them. What's going on? How did he die here? Gu Fei was bewildered, but the violet gold divine sword in his hand did not emit any strange energy. He pondered for a moment, then walked past the man and entered the hall. When Gu Fei entered the hall, he was immediately shocked by the scene before him. The stone door was filled with white bones, and in the middle of the bones, there was a path made from skulls that extended towards the depths of the hall. Gu Fei was both shocked and angered. This was a path made from human bones, and the translucent skulls still glowed with the light of divinity. How preposterous! Gu Fei gritted his teeth. His eyes were bloodshot. One must know that these skulls were extraordinary to be able to maintain their divinity in a place shrouded in demonic aura. Every skull represented an expert of the human race. It was unknown how many skulls there were on this path. Clearly, countless human experts had died in the hands of the master of this devil hall. Arrogant enough. I'd like to see what kind of demon would dare to use the heads of human experts to pave the way. Gu Fei's killing intent soared. Daring to treat humans like this, even if the master of this devil hall died 1,000 or 10,000 times, it wouldn't be enough to atone for his sins. Without hesitation, he walked forward with his sword in hand. He did not walk on the road paved with human skulls, but walked in the air. A chilling murderous aura emanated from his body. At this moment, this devil hall was as silent as ever. No aura could be sensed, like a devil hall that has been abandoned for countless years. There was a strange demonic aura lingering around the demon palace, but there were no demons here. This made Gu Fei feel a little uneasy. Everything here was too calm, and it seemed a little abnormal. Just as Gu Fei entered the hall, he saw that there were many corpses strewn across the hall. The demonic aura on these corpses had yet to dissipate. Even after so many years, the demonic aura is still present. Seems like these devils were all major characters when they were alive. As Gu Fei walked closer, he discovered that these devils were actually all killed by someone smashing their heads apart. It was as though they didn't have any strength to resist at all. The master of this devil hall is dead. Gu Fei was very shocked. It wasn't an easy thing to kill such a group of incomparably powerful devils. However, the existence who killed these devils actually did it. He discovered that the reactions of some of the devils were also very fast. Devil weapons were already in their hands, but before they could even attack, their heads were already smashed apart. Gu Fei carefully observed, and to his shock, he discovered that the master of this devil hall didn't seem to have been killed. Because the devilish aura on these devils were roughly the same. In other words, the cultivation bases of these ancient devils were similar. Even if there were some ancient devils stronger than ordinary ancient devils, they wouldn't be much stronger. Without absolute strength, these ancient devils wouldn't submit to any expert among the demons. In other words, the master of this devil hall had a peerless strength. However, when Gu Fei carefully looked around, other than the skeletons of the ancient devils, he couldn't find any other powerful corpses of the demons. That one is at the back. Just as Gu Fei was about to walk towards the back of the hall, an ancient devil corpse behind him suddenly stood up without a sound. As the ancient devil corpse stood up, the broken head of the ancient devil actually began to rapidly repair itself. In just an instant, a middle-aged ancient devil appeared in the gloomy hall. Gu Fei took a step forward, but at this moment, his step halted in midair. The hairs on his body stood erect as a cold aura spread out from behind him. A devil corpse that has been dead for countless years has undergone a corpse transformation. Gu Fei's right foot lightly landed on the ground. At the instant his right foot touched the ground, he abruptly turned around. He saw a demonic figure standing less than 3 meters behind him. This demonic figure's feet didn't touch the ground. The tip of his toes was pointing downwards as he floated in the air only half a foot above the ground. Swish! That ancient devil corpse moved, directly floating towards Gu Fei. Its body stiffened as a powerful suction force emanated from it, wanting to pull Gu Fei over. What the hell is this? Gu Fei shook the violet gold divine sword in his hand. Bzz. The sound of a sword humming rang out. That ancient devil corpse seemed to be afraid of the violet gold divine sword and actually didn't dare to move forward. However, it didn't retreat either. Just like that, it stood in a deadlock with Gu Fei. Swish! Gu Fei directly unsheathed his sword. A violet gold sword light rushed out from his hand and instantly slashed across the waist of the ancient devil corpse. The upper half of the ancient devil corpse immediately fell to the ground. With a soft poof, the upper half of the ancient devil corpse that was cut off by Gu Fei actually broke through the ground and burrowed into the ground. The lower half of the ancient devil corpse also burrowed into the ground. Burrow! Seeing this, Gu Fei hurriedly leaped up and hovered in the air. Poof! Just as Gu Fei leaped up, the ground he was standing on suddenly caved in. A devil's shadow broke through the ground and rushed out. Nothing happened to it after being slashed by the violet gold divine sword. Gu Fei couldn't help but be incomparably shocked. This ancient devil corpse was very strange. One must know that not to mention a devil corpse, even if this devil corpse had a powerful cultivation when it was alive, it definitely wouldn't be able to withstand a single slash from the violet gold divine sword. Chapter 2162. The demonic corpse was extremely strange. Even the purple gold god sword could not destroy it. This made Gu Fei feel incredulous. One must know that the purple gold god sword was a supreme sword weapon. Bang! Just at this moment, the ground beneath Gu Fei suddenly exploded. A black shadow instantly rushed out from the ground and fiercely pounced towards him. Humph! Gu Fei let out a cold snort and stomped on the ground, arriving first despite moving later. Bang! Gu Fei's right foot fiercely stomped on the demonic corpse's face, causing the demonic corpse's face to cave in and almost explode its head. Boom! The demonic corpse landed heavily on the ground. The strong impact caused the entire demonic hall to tremble. Cracks appeared on the ground. At the place where the demonic corpse landed, a huge crater appeared. Gu Fei realized that this demonic corpse was not that strong. However, it had an undying demonic nature. It seemed to be an existence that could not be destroyed. Roar! The demonic corpse roared and stood up from the crater. Its deformed face was constantly changing. Its broken bones were mending and flesh was growing again. In just a few breaths, the demonic corpse had recovered. What kind of power is controlling this fella? Seeing this, Gu Fei could not help but feel a sense of helplessness. This was an existence that could not be defeated. Swoosh! He waved the purple gold god sword in his hand. The sharp sword she sliced the demonic corpse that was charging at him into two. There was no sign of blood or flesh splattering. This ancient devil had been dead for God knows how long. Although the demonic nature in its body had not dissipated completely, the demonic blood in its body was already in a half-dried state. Moreover, the demonic corpse's strange undying demonic nature bound the demonic corpse's muscles, bones, blood, and flesh together. Nothing in the demonic corpse's body would be lost. The killing intent within the purple gold god sword was extraordinary. After the demonic corpse was sliced into two, it could not recover in a short period of time. Gu Fei took advantage of this moment, and headed towards the rear hall with his sword in hand. When he entered the back hall, the two halves of the corpse devil barely joined together, and gradually fused into one. Soon, the corpse devil completely recovered, as if it had never been split in half. The corpse demon seemed to be wary of the rear hall. It only paced around the main hall and did not enter it. When Gu Fei entered the rear hall, the first thing he saw was a pitch-black coffin placed in the middle of the rear hall. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that this black coffin was not made of wood. From time to time, a black light would circulate on the surface of the black coffin. The entire black coffin was carved out of a huge black rock. This rock was the Black Demon Stone. Only the experts of the demons would be able to do such a thing. Could it be that the master of the demon palace had really died? The demon palace was strange and mysterious. Gu Fei directly waved the purple gold god's sword in his hand and slashed at the black coffin in front of him. Regardless of what was inside the black coffin, he would slash at it first. Although the black demon stone was a rare type of demonic stone with demonic nature, it was still unable to contend against the paragon sword. Clang! Wherever the sword light passed, the entire black coffin was sliced into two by the purple gold god's sword. A black demonic aura rushed out from the demon coffin. Within the demonic aura, one could vaguely see a ferocious demon struggling. This is... Gu Fei was shocked. The demonic aura that leaked out from the demon coffin was very unique. It could transform into all kinds of illusions. An aura that made his heart palpitate seeped out from the demon coffin. Could it be? He thought of something and was extremely shocked. Bang! He punched out, and the entire black coffin instantly shattered. There was no corpse within the black coffin. Instead, a skull fell out. That was a pitch-black skull. Upon seeing this skull, Gu Fei only felt as though an incomparably realistic portrait flashed before his eyes. A strange fluctuation emanated from the skull. This was a type of demonic nature contained within the skull. It was a type of demonic nature that could cause people to hallucinate. Even someone as strong as Gu Fei, if it wasn't for the paragon sword in his hand, would also be affected by this demonic nature and get lost in the illusions. It can cause people to hallucinate and completely lose themselves. Could it be that this skull is the skull of an illusion demon? Gu Fei muttered to himself. In ancient times, a terrifying great devil once appeared. The cultivation of this great devil wasn't that strong, but this great devil cultivated a type of devil Dao secret art that could cause people to hallucinate. The illusion demon used this kind of magic to subdue countless incomparably powerful demons, and also slaughtered countless human experts. In the later period of the Desolate Era, this great devil disappeared. Some people said that this great devil was killed by the human emperor of the human race, while others said that this great devil hid away to avoid the catastrophe. Gu Fei had never thought that he would actually find traces of the illusion demon here. Moreover, this great devil seemed to be really dead. Could it be that the legend was true? This great devil was really killed by the supreme emperor of the human race? Gu Fei thought of the dead middle-aged man in animal skin standing behind the gate of this devil palace. That person could actually die standing, and his body was immortal, and his face was still vivid and lifelike. If the middle-aged man in animal skin was the supreme emperor of the human race, then why did he die here? All of this was a mystery. No one knew that under the ground, there was a shocking secret, but no one knew what this secret was. In the entire devil palace, other than the tens of ancient devil corpses in the front hall, as well as that strange devil corpse, there was only the skull in the black coffin at the back hall. At this moment, devil roars suddenly rang out in Gu Fei's ears. The sound was faintly discernible, and on the surface of the pitch-black skull on the ground, there were actually devil runes appearing faintly. After that, illusory illusions appeared around the skull, and within the entire devil palace, a force seemed to have been awakened. Bzz. The violet gold divine sword in Gu Fei's hand vibrated lightly. The sword seemed to have sensed that force and reacted. This was a warning to Gu Fei. Bury my past body, destroy my present soul, undergo nirvana and be reborn. Within the devil palace, a faint divine sense fluctuation appeared. This is... Gu Fei was incomparably shocked. Could it be that all of this was under the control of a mastermind? Someone had set up a heaven-shaking grand scheme, and what was he plotting? Rumble. At this moment, the entire devil palace suddenly trembled. The entire devil palace seemed to have gained life, as though a terrifying ancient devil ancestor was awakening. Gu Fei didn't hesitate and directly rushed out of the devil palace. And just when he rushed out of the great hall, he saw numerous devil silhouettes standing there. Powerful devil chi gushed forth from these devil silhouettes. What? Chapter 2163. In the main hall of the devil hall, there were more than a dozen demonic figures standing silently. In the main hall that was shrouded in demonic aura, they appeared exceptionally strange and terrifying. How could this be? Gu Fei was incomparably shocked. He quickly looked at the ground and saw that it was empty. There were no corpses on the ground. Needless to say, those corpses that had fallen to the ground had already stood up. Could it be that the demonic corpses that had died for countless years could come back to life? Encountering such a thing, no matter how skilled and courageous Gu Fei was, he couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Everything here couldn't be explained with common sense. No one knew what the Huanmo had left behind. Could it be that this devil was really going to be reborn? It wasn't that such a thing had never happened before. In the yin-yang jade pendant that Gu Fei obtained from the icy azure pool, there was someone who had gathered endless spiritual energy and was reborn. The person who walked out from the yin-yang jade pendant was the supreme expert who suppressed the devil cave of the extreme north with his own strength. Since there was already a precedent, it seemed that it was possible for the Huanma to be reborn. This was definitely not a miracle. Although it was a huge risk, there was a chance of success. Thinking of this, Gu Fei couldn't help but tighten his grip on the sword. Buzz! The violet gold divine sword was still gently vibrating. This supreme sword had already gained sentience. If it wasn't for the sword soul that was still asleep, this divine sword would have already turned into sword light and flew out. Just as Gu Fei was about to bypass the dozen demonic corpses in the main hall, they suddenly turned to look at him. More than a dozen blood-colored evil lights lit up the dark main hall. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Since you are dead, rest in peace. As Gu Fei spoke, he directly stepped forward. The violet gold divine sword in his hand emitted a supreme aura that enveloped his entire body. The demonic aura that could attract people into the environment was blocked by the aura of the divine sword. It couldn't affect Gu Fei at all. But this time, these demonic corpses were no longer afraid of the supreme sword in Gu Fei's hand. They directly flew up and pounced towards Gu Fei. Shua! Without any hesitation, Gu Fei swung the divine sword in his hand. The two demonic corpses that pounced at him were immediately struck by the sword light and fell from the sky. Gu Fei executed the 8 desolate steps and moved quickly around the hall. Every time he slashed out, a demonic corpse would be cut in half and fall to the ground. However, Gu Fei noticed to his shock that as soon as the corpses of these devil corpses touched the ground, they would immediately connect and fuse together before charging into the sky and continuing to pounce towards him. Although these demonic corpses weren't strong, their immortal characteristics caused Gu Fei's heart to palpitate. These demonic corpses were simply like monsters that were difficult to exterminate. Anyone who encountered such monsters would be terrified. Rumble! The tremors of the entire devil hall grew more and more intense. It was as though there really was an incomparably powerful life form awakening from its slumber. Reverse life and death, return of the true demon. Waves of divine will appeared in the void. Boundless devil chi permeated the area outside the devil hall, terrifying to the extreme. Numerous corpses could be seen floating within the devil chi. It was unknown how many lives had fallen within this boundless devil chi. Scram! Gu Fei was ruthless. The divine sword in his hand shot out a beam of sword light that was over 10 zhang long, sweeping through everything, directly turning the 3 devil corpses in front of him into dust. After that, he dashed past them and rushed out of the devil hall. A path made of crystalline skulls extended towards the entrance of the devil hall. At the end of this path, a figure clad in beast hide stood there. When Gu Fei saw this figure, he couldn't help but be shocked to the extreme. He remembered that when he entered the devil hall, this man was facing outside. But now, this man was facing inside. What's going on? This place was incomparably bizarre, as though anything could happen here. Gu Fei didn't stop and directly moved forward. He wanted to leave this devil hall as soon as possible. And just when he arrived at the entrance of the devil hall, the gray eyes of the middle-aged man suddenly gleamed with coldness. After that, the middle-aged man in beast hide moved. The middle-aged man in beast hide had a stone cudgel in his hand. That lifeless body of his actually glowed with a divine luster as a surge of vitality gushed forth from him. Not dead. Gu Fei's eyeballs almost fell to the ground. This middle-aged man in beast hide actually didn't die. How could this be possible? But the revival of vitality wasn't an illusion. This was definitely not an illusion. One must know that no matter how powerful the ancient illusion devil was, it was impossible for it to be comparable to a paragon. The power of the illusion devil shouldn't be able to break through the divine qi radiating from the violet gold divine sword and affect Gu Fei's consciousness. Who? The middle-aged man in beast hide heaved a sigh of relief. After that, he stretched his waist as a series of explosive sounds rang out from his body. Swish! That person discovered Gu Fei's existence. His cold gaze instantly turned to Gu Fei. Greetings, senior. Gu Fei cupped his hands and bowed to the middle-aged man in beast hide. This middle-aged man exuded a divine and holy aura. He was definitely not an evil demon. This was an existence so powerful that even Gu Fei's heart palpitated. It was as if he was facing a supreme human emperor. Even when he faced the human emperor divine weapon back then, he didn't feel as much pressure as this. You are! The middle-aged man in beast hide emitted a powerful divine will. This divine will rushed towards the center of Gu Fei's eyebrows, wanting to forcefully read his memories. Gu Fei didn't expect that this middle-aged man in beast hide would be so direct. He wanted to read his memories. Even someone as powerful as him couldn't stop him. However, just when the divine will of the middle-aged man in beast hide was about to enter Gu Fei's brain, the violet gold divine sword in Gu Fei's hand vibrated. The divine will of the middle-aged man in beast hide immediately stopped. Supreme sword. The middle-aged man in beast hide seemed to be very surprised. He stared at the violet gold divine sword in Gu Fei's hand for a long time before looking up at Gu Fei. Huan Mo is about to resurrect. This is unstoppable. There will be a great calamity in the world, the middle-aged man in beast hide said. Rumble. The entire hall began to collapse. A powerful demonic aura spread out from the hall. Then, a huge demonic shadow emerged from the hall. What on earth is happening? Gu Fei asked. Huanmo wants to become an undying and indestructible devil ancestor. He wants to undergo nirvana rebirth and transform into a true devil body. This devil is really amazing. If I did not discover it in time, he would have succeeded in ancient times, the middle-aged man said. Good heavens! Hearing this, Gu Fei was also shocked. He understood that Huan Mo wanted to shed his acquired demon body and become a real demon born from heaven and earth. Chapter 2164. The Spider Empress and Haoren once again returned to the skies above Cloud Mountain's summit. Both of their breathing were a bit messy. After several hours of high-intensity battle, moreover against opponents with similar strength, the intense consumption was a bit too much for the two of them. The Spider Empress was covered in cuts and bruises, but the damage wasn't as great as she had anticipated. After frowning, she suddenly revealed a charming smile and said in a mocking tone, Even though your defensive strength is indeed quite shocking, it seems like your offensive strength hasn't made much progress. Same here. Your attack power disappoints me too much. Or is it that my diamond body's defense is too strong? Haoren did not deny that his attack power was inferior to the Spider Empress, but his defense was also far superior. As a result, the two of them suffered similar injuries. Haoren's diamond body was also covered in all kinds of scratches. His body had the ability to regenerate, and he had enough sword qi. As long as the damage did not reach his heart, he could use sword qi to repair it. That was why Haoren had decisively cut off the flow of poison after being corroded by the poison. However, if the rate of damage was too fast, sword qi would not be enough. After all, Haoren still needed to use his sword qi to attack. It's a bit too boring to keep fighting like this. Let's just decide the victor, Haoren suddenly said. What do you mean? You want to admit defeat? Even if that's the case, I won't let you go. Ha ha! Admit defeat? You think too highly of yourself, Spider. Why don't you just admit defeat? Let's just use this move to decide the victor. Hao Ren was brimming with confidence, which made the Spider Empress even more vigilant. She watched with rapt attention. Hao Ren's current state was indeed a bit strange. His jade-like body had been completely absorbed by the energy, but now the energy was almost non-existent. The Spider Empress naturally would not admit defeat. She seemed to be tired of this endless battle of attrition. She raised her eyebrows and coldly laughed. Since that's the case, I'll also use this move to end this meaningless battle. Hey. What are they talking about? Jiang Junqing was so anxious that he could only stare at them. His injuries had long since recovered. When he saw that the Spider Empress and Hao Ren had both stopped fighting, he was already itching to go up. However, he heard the two of them muttering something, but he could not hear them clearly. Dong Fangxing was a thief. His hearing was much better than a berserker's. With a cold face, he said in a deep voice, "They're going to decide the battle in a single move. One move to decide the victor? Everyone get out of the way. Prepare your defenses. No one is allowed to go up and die." Qin Yang reacted instinctively and turned around to give instructions loudly. It was obvious even if one thought with their toes. The two of them were going to decide the outcome of the battle with a single move. What kind of terrifying move would that be? This was definitely not something they could interfere with. But Tang Lin frowned and said worriedly, "Hao Ren's ultimate skill should be in cooldown by now, right? What other ultimate skill does he have that can decide the outcome of the battle in one move?" They had seen Hao Ren's ultimate move several times, so they knew that this ultimate move had a cooldown time of 1 day. He had already used it when the Spider Empress changed into her second form, so there was no way he could use it again now. "Trust him." Qin Yang sighed softly. "Although I don't want to admit it, we have indeed become Hao Ren's burden. Right now, we can only trust him." "That's right. Perhaps he comprehended a powerful skill after fusing with the crystal rock snake." Xia Fei encouraged everyone. However, the tone of her voice made it seem like she was constantly comforting herself. Her beautiful face was filled with worry, making others feel pity for her. Hao Ren's upper sword art had already entered cooldown. He still had Blaze Storm left, but this ultimate move alone was not enough to defeat the Spider Empress. He was also very clear on this point. However, at this moment, he slowly straightened his arm and raised Thunder's Fury horizontally. Sword Chi gathered around his body, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. "Is this a skill you comprehended after fusing with this body? You think you can defeat me with this? Too naive. I'll let you see my true strength. My final and strongest ultimate move, Dark Storm." The Spider Empress raised her voice and let out a long cry. The sky was once again filled with dark clouds, and the dark clouds began to descend rapidly in the shape of a vortex. Thunder rumbled, and countless black auras began to spread from all directions, quickly gathering around the Spider Empress body. This scene caused Hao Ren to be slightly taken aback, because the scene on his side was exactly the same. The clouds in the sky were also rapidly gathering, but they were not dark clouds. Instead, they were thick white clouds that were also stretching downwards in the shape of a vortex. Both of them were desperately accumulating the last of their strength. Because of their powerful battle prowess, they could even affect the weather. The surging light in the surroundings was the energy layer that covered the sky. "Looks like our ultimate moves are about the same. My ultimate move is called Blaze Storm, but in my current state, Blaze Storm has already changed. Calling it Diamond? Blaze Storm would be more appropriate. Diamond? Blade Storm? So what? I'll just mention it in passing. In the previous civilization era, I used Dark Storm to instantly destroy a city. Haha, don't be afraid. I just want to give you a reminder. Don't think about avoiding it. You can't avoid it. No one in this city can avoid Dark Storm." Hao Ren was indeed taken aback, but he was not afraid. He said, "You existed in the previous civilization? You existed in that magic civilization era? Heh, I couldn't tell, but you're actually an old woman." The Spider Empress did not seem to mind and continued to say, "Honestly speaking, you humans are far too lacking compared to the previous civilization era. You humans are too young, so young that it's almost ridiculous. Being older doesn't necessarily mean you're powerful. How stupid! Civilizations need time to settle down. The previous civilization era developed for 280,000 years. The third civilization era developed for 460,000 years. And the second civilization era developed for 1.6 million years. What about you humans? Haha, what a joke! Old witch, are you done yet? Unfortunately, you've lived for so many years, and the magic civilization has not been able to kill you, yet you're going to die at the hands of the human civilization. I wonder what that feels like. Just you? The Spider Empress laughed condescendingly. That's right. Just me alone is enough. Howren laughed proudly. Diamond? Blade Storm. Dark Storm. Chapter 2165. Diamond Blade Storm, mutated, quality, gold learning requirement, possesses the Sword Saint Gold skill, Blade Storm. Diamond Blade Storm can be activated after merging with any crystal-type creature through a soul contract. Skill description: Blade Storm Enhanced version. The power increases depending on the energy stored in the crystal. Every additional energy stored doubles the damage. Special skill crystallization: Blade Storm's damage is converted to crystal damage. This was the strongest skill Howren had obtained after fusing with the crystalline rock snake, Diamond Blade Storm. Although it did not have the powerful sword or a boost of the Supreme Sword Art, the Diamond Blade Storm skill clearly stated that the amount of energy stored in the skill determined the multiplier of the skill's boost. I think you must be wondering why I purposely took the damage from so many of your energy balls. Humph, if you didn't use your body to hit the energy balls, your friend would be finished. The Spider Queen harumphed coldly. However, she had a bad feeling in her heart. As expected, you've underestimated me. Do you really think that with my current speed, I won't be able to break your energy balls with just my sword chi alone? Howren shook his head and suddenly shouted. I'll tell you the answer now. I'll return all the energy you've given me. Within his sparkling and translucent body, the 5 colored spheres of light suddenly left his body one after another, entering Thunder Fury. In that instant, the sword energy around Howren's body expanded over 10,000 times, surrounding all of Cloud Mountain. In addition, it instantly broke through the barrier the Spider Empress laid down, continuously extending, reaching a range of 1,000 meters. If a single energy unit could double the damage, then Howren's Diamond Blade Storm would increase by tens of thousands of times. Fortunately, he encountered a powerful enemy like the Spider Empress. Otherwise, ordinary opponents wouldn't be able to instantly release such a powerful energy attack for Howren to absorb, and then have enough time to slowly convert. TCH! The Spider Queen's face was ashen and twisted. Rather than saying she was angry, it was better to say that she was afraid. The shocking sword chi that the young man in front of her was truly a threat to her existence. Moreover, this was under the premise that she had released her final arachnid form. With just this power alone, it is indeed comparable to the previous civilization era. It really is enough to be mentioned in the same breath as the last great civilization. However, what a pity! The Spider Empress roared out malevolently. The last great era was also destroyed like this. Die, Dark Storm! Boom! The black aura around the Spider Empress suddenly began to revolve, fast to an unimaginable degree. This was actually a storm that revolved at high speed. To the naked eye of an ordinary person, there was only tranquility under the pitch-black sky. When the storm reached its limit, it had already exceeded the limits of what the naked eye could see, but under this tranquility, there were turbulent waves. Pa! A huge rock slowly floated away from Cloudy Mountain. When it was only a few meters away, a black wind blade flashed across the sky, and the rock instantly disappeared without a trace. He was right. This rock didn't shatter, nor did it turn into powder. It just disappeared into thin air. Not to mention powder, not even a speck was left. Someone like Jiang Junqing, who had high combat strength, could see it clearly. He couldn't help but shiver as he turned around and yelled at the others. Run! Stop King defending! Everyone was still stunned. Yang Feng smacked his lips and retorted. What nonsense are you talking about? How could we possibly escape? Although I can't see anything, but it's clear that we can outrun the Spider Empress darkness storm. Defense is the best way. You idiot! Didn't you see it just now? An attack that can even annihilate the tiniest speck of dust, how could we possibly defend against it? We can't defend against it. Any defensive skill is useless in front of this darkness storm. It's not on the same level. Qin Yang was the first to understand. Without thinking, he broke into a run and rushed down the mountain. In any case, the barrier around them had already been broken by Hao Ren's sword qi. Now was a race against time. Running 1 more meter might increase their chances of survival. Seeing Qin Yang running, the others weren't stupid. Regardless of whether they understood Jiang Junqing's words or not, they all began to retreat as fast as they could. Among them, there were those with escape acceleration skills, such as Tang Lin's rocket jump and Dong Fangxing's blink. They didn't hesitate to use them. Although I don't understand what's going on, it seems to be very powerful. Hao Ren frowned and muttered. Foolish humans, this is true power, a power that belongs to the molecular level of destruction. You will never understand. Before he finished speaking, Hao Ren's dark white diamond blade storm and the Spider Empress darkness storm finally collided on the summit of Cloudy Mountain. The heavens fell and the earth cracked. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. The entire Jinling city was shaking violently. In the area closest to Cloudy Mountain, countless huge cracks appeared on the ground. Boiling underground water sprayed everywhere, and even surging magma spewed everywhere. The ground began to collapse slowly, and flames soared into the sky. It was like hell. The aftermath of the collision between the black and white forces surged into the sky like a sharp sword, shooting straight into the vast universe and forcibly cutting the sky in half. The sky began to darken rapidly, and colorful lights flickered. It was like the scene before the end of the world. Aurora! It's an aurora! Someone in the team who was still escaping had some understanding of physics. Seeing this scene, he was shocked and said loudly, "Oh my God! Their power actually pierced through the electromagnetic layer. How powerful is the impact of this energy? What does this have to do with the electromagnetic layer?" Yang Feng did not understand. The so-called aurora is simply the phenomenon produced when the solar wind collides with the electromagnetic layer. And now, the energy fluctuations produced by their battle are already comparable to the energy of the solar wind. How strong is the energy of the solar wind? Don't talk nonsense. I don't know how strong it is, but I know that if we don't hurry up, we will be annihilated in this energy storm. Not to mention these people who were in a hurry to escape, the pressure Hao Ren was under was no small matter. An ordinary blade storm could only last for 10 seconds, but the diamond blade storm did not have a clear time limit. As long as there was enough energy, it could spin indefinitely. The blade storm and the dark storm had already clashed for 7 or 8 seconds, but Hao Ren's sword was still unable to break through the thick darkness. Of course, due to the restrictions of the blade storm, the scale of the dark storm did not expand rapidly. Otherwise, it would really be like what the Spider Queen said: the dark storm would destroy the entire city in an instant. The surroundings were undergoing earth-shattering changes. On the contrary, the center of the storm was calm like a pool of stagnant water. The two storm forces had unexpectedly reached a delicate balance. Both of them had done their best, and there was no room for error. But this was the extent of it. Either of them dared to relax. Even half a second of relaxation could cause their spinning storm to be completely engulfed by the other party. At that time, the power they had to endure would be dozens or even hundreds of times stronger. Regardless of whether it was Hao Ren or the Spider Queen, they would definitely die in their current state. 20 seconds passed, and Hao Ren's power was the first to loosen. This could not be helped. The power of his diamond blade storm mainly came from the energy he had absorbed from the Spider Queen. Although this energy could temporarily be used by him, it was a consumable, and the more he used, the less he would be able to use. At the start, he could still barely maintain the stalemate, but as time dragged on, and as the consumption increased, Howren gradually fell into a disadvantage. The Spider Queen was not a merciful person. As long as there was the slightest opening, she would immediately use all of her power, urging the dark storm to slowly suppress Howren. 30 seconds passed. No, that's not right. The power is disappearing faster and faster. This is impossible. Howren frowned, and large beads of sweat flowed down his forehead. He looked at the darkness that was engulfing him at the edge of the storm, and said softly, "Damn it! The corrosive nature of this dark storm can even engulf the sword chi of the blade storm? Human, that's why I said you really don't understand anything. I already said that my dark storm is a power at the molecular level. How can a mere blade storm stop it?" The Spider Queen's roar came from within the dark storm once again. Power at the molecular level? What exactly do you mean? How pathetic, pathetic my ass. If you don't want to say it, then so be it. I'm not afraid of you. The Spider Queen was silent for a moment. As the speed at which the dark storm was engulfing him increased, Howren's blade storm was greatly shrinking. As if victory was already in her grasp, she slowly opened her mouth. I'll let you die knowing. You don't even know the basic levels of power. This is common knowledge in all civilizations and eras. Normally, in our dark world, power is divided by the degree of destruction caused by power. The destruction of the surface of an object, the destruction of the entire structure, and then the destruction at the molecular level. This is not simply breaking or shattering an object, but directly destroying the molecular layer of an object. Let alone residue, not even powder will be left. Everything in the world is made up of molecules. In the end, your sword chi is also made up of molecules. As long as it is a molecule, my dark storm can destroy it. What a power that can destroy molecules! If that's the case, then your dark storm being able to destroy a city really isn't bragging. Howren did not reveal the slightest dejection or fear of failure. Instead, he smiled lightly and said, "Thank you for answering my greatest question. You no longer have any value to me, so just die. What did you say?" Chapter 2166. Crystallization. Howren originally had some doubts about the Diamond Blaze-Storm ability, but the Spider Queen's explanation made him even more clear about its characteristics. As the crystallization was activated, a large amount of pure white crystalline matter surged out from Howren's body, instantly filling up the Blaze-Storm. As the storm spun, these crystals were like flower buds, slowly blooming the most beautiful petals. The so-called crystallization was to start crystallizing from the molecular structure, making the blade storm as one. The entire storm was like a solid and unbreakable molecule, unable to be destroyed by any power. Howren's continuously flowing energy began to slowly flow back. Just like how the darkness storm could devour his blaze storm, the crystallization of the diamond blaze storm could similarly turn everything the storm touched into a part of its own crystal, merging it into this enormous molecule. To put it more plainly, it was replenishing its own energy. The Spider Queen's darkness storm began to quickly shrink, while the crystallized blade storm rapidly expanded. In the blink of an eye, it had completely swallowed up the entire cloud mountain. The amount of energy replenished by crystallization was also different. For example, if it was just ordinary rock fragments, then the amount of energy replenished was basically negligible. However, this was the Cloud Mountain, a place where large amounts of ores were stored. There was nothing better at replenishing energy than these ores. After all of the ores on the Cloud Mountain had been crystallized and absorbed, the blaze storm had also expanded to a terrifying degree. That's why I said that this is the time of your death. You old witch! Howren activated this energy that he had obtained with great difficulty, gathering all of his strength and sweeping towards the darkness storm. Amidst the whistling and thunder, the crystallized blade storm finally surpassed the darkness storm. It continued for more than 10 seconds before finally disappearing without a trace. The blade storm also gradually stopped. Howren floated powerlessly in the air, gasping for breath, but he did not dare to relax. He nervously searched every inch of the ground around him. The Cloud Mountain had already completely disappeared in that attack just now, leaving behind only a large crater and a desolate plain. It was impossible to hide here. After observing for a while, Howren finally let out a breath, his crystalline body also undergoing a series of transformations. He gradually returned to his normal body of flesh and blood. Then, he fell to the ground as if he had lost all his strength. Qin Yang and the others had been watching from the side for a long time. Seeing this, they hurriedly rushed over. Yan Feng activated charge and was the first to rush over. He leaped high and caught Howren. When Howren landed heavily on the ground, Xia Fei's healing beams continuously landed on him. Don't waste your mana. This guy is at full HP. He doesn't need healing at all. Yang Feng took a closer look and couldn't help but mutter. What a monster, such a fierce battle, yet he's not injured at all. Are you kidding me? Then why hasn't he woken up yet? Xia Fei's beautiful eyelashes trembled slightly. His voice trembled uneasily. I'm too tired. After using such a powerful force, it's normal for him to faint. Qin Yang consoled. Pun! Almost at the same time, there was another heavy thud. The crystal rock snake's huge body also fell to the ground not far away. The snake struggled to get up, but it quickly went limp on the ground. It was obvious that it had used up all its strength. It didn't even have room to move, and its crystalline body had lost a lot of color. Jiang Junqing and the others almost instinctively pulled out their weapons and entered a combat state, staring at the crystal rock snake vigilantly. No matter what, the opponent was a mutated monster. When they had a common enemy like the Spider Empress, they could still temporarily cooperate. But now that the Spider Empress had been eliminated, who knew what this snake would do? They might even harbor even more malicious thoughts. The crystal rock snake was admittedly very strong. At its peak, apart from Howren, no one present could hope to defeat it. But now, it looked like it was half dead. If they really fought, they might succeed. High-level monsters were equivalent to silver equipment, or even gold equipment. Everyone looked at each other strangely, trying to guess what the others were thinking. Of the 20 or so people present, it would be impossible to say that no one was tempted by the possibility of obtaining gold equipment. However, no one said anything. After all, the crystal rock snake had stood on the same side as them. Moreover, after fusing with Howren, it had defeated the Spider Empress, which was equivalent to saving all of their lives. No matter what happens in the future, at least for now, it is our ally. Glory doesn't have a rule to attack allies. Qin Yang was the first to express his stance, allowing the others to breathe a sigh of relief. With Qin Yang's status in glory, no one else had any other thoughts. Qin Yang continued to instruct. Xia Fei, heal this snake as well. It seems that after fusing with the snake, it's full health. However, the damage from falling from such a high altitude wasn't small. A few rays of healing light quickly enveloped the great rock snake. It was evident that the human's healing techniques were effective. The crystal great rock snake slowly opened its eyes, looked deeply at Xia Fei, and nodded. Human, thank you for your help. What about the contractor? The crystal rock snake turned its head towards Howren. Contractor? Oh, it's Howren. He's still unconscious. Let me do it. I just ended the soul contract with him, so our souls are somewhat similar. That's why I can wake him up in advance. The crystal rock snake slowly moved over. Although they were temporarily treating the crystal rock snake as an ally, they didn't let down their guard against it. Especially when facing this powerful body, everyone's vigilance was raised to the maximum. Qin Yang nodded lightly, indicating for Yang Feng to put Howren down. Then, the crystal rock snake bent down and placed its crystal forehead on Howren's body. The entire movement was very careful. After a moment, when the crystal rock snake straightened its body, Howren opened his eyes slightly. So, this battle is over, right? Howren asked, rubbing his head, which was still faintly aching. Qin Yang chuckled and said, Don't worry. The Spider Queen is definitely dead. Don't forget about the Spider Queen's revenge quest we received from the Adventurers Center. It's currently completed. Oh right, there's also that purple quest. I almost forgot about it. Howren couldn't help but feel excited. The purple quest's rewards were quite good. Let's not talk about the rewards for now. What about the items dropped by the Spider Queen? They couldn't have been wiped out by your blaze storm, right? Chapter 2167. The Glory members started rummaging through the equipment scattered all over the ground, while Howren sat to the side to recover his stamina. The crystal rock snake saw that he was almost fully recovered, so it nodded and said, "The contract between us has been completed. It's time for me to leave. High-quality update. Are you sure you don't want to stay?" Howren wasn't willing to give up. Under the fusion state of the soul contract, his combat power had increased by an unimaginable amount. The power of the Diamond Blaze Storm left him thinking about it endlessly. "No, I have my own path." The crystal rock snake refused straightforwardly. "Your path?" Howren narrowed his eyes and asked. "Forgive me for being blunt, but what path do you want to walk? Do you want to fight against humans? I'm not that stupid. The Earth is too big, and my race and I live in the underground space. We don't have any conflict with you humans, so I won't deliberately start a war with you humans. Of course, if you come to provoke me, I won't show any mercy." Howren relaxed slightly. "As long as you don't become enemies with us humans, anything else is fine. After all, I've fought alongside you before. I really don't want to cross swords with you again. You're no match for me," the crystal rock snake said honestly. Howren rolled his eyes. He didn't want to discuss this. Instead, he sighed and said, "But the increase in strength after our fusion is indeed very powerful." "Right, do you still have self-awareness after the fusion? Although you're the main body during the fusion, and I can't control your body, I can clearly sense your every move. The power of the soul contract is much stronger than I imagined. I'm really curious how you obtained the Spirit Envoy class." "Yes. After the fusion, my body has the characteristics of crystals. I can absorb all energy and damage for my own use. My defense has increased by at least a dozen times, but my attack power hasn't increased much." The crystal rock snake thought for a moment and said, "I think the fusion of the soul contract will change depending on who you fuse with. If you can find someone else to fuse with, you'll naturally obtain completely different abilities. High-quality update is coming." "I think so too. I just can't bear to part with the power of the Diamond Blade Storm." Howren smiled and expressed his regret. "If you hadn't absorbed so much of the Spider Queen's energy supply in advance, the Diamond Blaze Storm might not have been able to display such power." The man and the snake remained silent for a while. Then, the crystalline rock snake slowly said, "Your companions seem to have returned. I have to go. Once again, I want to express my gratitude to you. It's because of you that I was able to evolve to this stage." Howren knew that the rock snake was wary of other humans. However, at the same time, Qin Yang and the others were also very vigilant. Forcefully keeping the crystalline rock snake would only bring about endless trouble in the future. Howren did not try to persuade them to stay. He sighed and said, "I hope that we won't be enemies the next time we meet. Good luck." With a loud rumble, the crystal rock snake finally burrowed into the ground. As for where it was going, this was not a problem for Howren to consider. After eliminating the Spider Empress, the dark imprint automatically disappeared. The system notification rang out in Howren's mind again. Almost at the same time, the back of Howren's hand lit up with a strange black luster, and the darkness mark gradually disappeared. Howren remembered that he had obtained this darkness mark when he killed the venomous spider. Although he could obtain additional experience and doomsday coins, he would also receive a soul curse. But correspondingly, they would also be cursed. Once they died, their souls would forever fall into the world of darkness and become puppets of darkness. Now that the darkness mark had disappeared, Howren did not know whether he should rejoice or be disappointed. This could be considered one of his cheat cards. Without the mark, the experience required to level up would only increase, and the path of leveling up would only become more difficult. Detected that the host has killed the Spider Empress, a low-rank demon from the Dark World. Obtained Intermediate Darkness Mark. Killing any monster grants plus 50 experience, and plus 50 Doomsday coins. Killing a rare monster grants plus 50 honor points, and plus 50 damage to dark creatures. Warning: the host's soul has been cursed by darkness. If the host dies while the Intermediate Darkness Mark is active, the host will fall into the Dark World. After obtaining the Intermediate Darkness Mark from a high-rank upgrade, the host's coordinates will be permanently exposed to all dark creatures. At all times, the host will become the target of all dark creatures' hatred. After the host kills a sufficient number of middle-rank demons, the mark can evolve into a high-rank Darkness Mark. On the back of Hao-Ren's hand, the Darkness Mark that had just disappeared reappeared. Compared to the previous Darkness Mark, this Darkness Mark had an additional flower petal, making it look even more enchanting. Hao-Ren was stunned for a long time, then smiled bitterly. It seemed that he had no way of getting rid of this Darkness Mark. The Intermediate Darkness Mark gave him a lot of bonus points. This was 50 points. If it was someone else, they would probably be drooling. However, the warning behind it was also shocking. Permanently exposing your coordinates meant that no matter where you hid, dark creatures could find you. As for the priority of hatred, Hao-Ren could only smile bitterly. In the future, when he fought against dark creatures, he would become a natural meat shield. Perhaps others would say that Hao-Ren was already so strong. How could he be afraid of a mere dark creature after defeating the Spider Queen? Moreover, there were no creatures stronger than the Spider Queen in Jinling City. However, Hao-Ren knew that killing the Spider Queen was not the end, but the beginning. The Spider Queen was only a low-rank demon, which meant that there were many middle-rank demons and even high-rank demons waiting for him. In short, no matter how one looked at it, after upgrading the Intermediate Darkness Mark, Hao-Ren had obtained a lot of benefits. At the same time, his danger factor had also increased significantly. The harvest from killing the Spider Queen was also considerably bountiful. Hao-Ren had directly risen from level 29 to level 30. Moreover, he had obtained a reward of 50,000 honor points. However, he did not know what kind of equipment the Spider Queen would drop. After waiting for over an hour, the players that had been searching for equipment returned one after another. After all, the loot was from an elite monster. If they lost one or two pieces and someone else picked them up, they would truly cry tears of regret. Although it is indeed a good thing to be cautious, you guys don't have to expand your search range by several kilometers, right? Hao-Ren could not help but grumble as he waited. Very quickly, however, his attention was attracted by the luster of the equipment in everyone's hands. Gold equipment had a unique luster effect. Judging from the equipment in these players' hands, a majority of them were actually gold rank. The Spider Queen has given us a huge gift. Let's take a look at our harvest. Everyone looked forward to the harvest. The Spider Queen had dropped a total of 20 pieces of equipment and 5 skill stones. Among them, the lowest was silver rank. There were also 10 pieces of gold equipment and 2 gold skill stones. Seeing everyone's excited expressions, Hao-Ren faintly smiled. After carefully inspecting every piece of equipment, he said, "Then, according to Glory's rules, we'll auction the equipment using contribution points. Everyone, do you have any problems with this?" Qin Yang and the other veterans naturally had no problems with this. As for Dong Fangxing and the others who had just joined the team, they had clearly been informed of this peculiar distribution method. They immediately nodded in agreement. "Then, let's start with the silver equipment." Hao-Ren went through the equipment one by one. Among them, no one wanted the silver equipment, such as the armor. Of the 20 or so people here, the worst equipment was silver rank. Naturally, they were not interested in the equipment. After asking a few times for a price, no one responded. However, a few people were still interested in the silver accessories. A few gold accessories had also dropped this time. However, these people had only recently joined Glory. They knew that their contribution points were limited. They definitely would not be able to obtain gold equipment, so they simply chose the silver equipment. After a quarter of an hour, all the silver equipment had been distributed. Afterwards, everyone's attention was on the main event. Extreme Ice Heavenly Silkworm Gauntlet. Wow, it increases casting speed by 100. Alright, let's start the bidding. Sun Quan and the other mages' eyes immediately lit up. For magic classes, this was a piece of equipment that increased casting speed by 100. She immediately called out a price without hesitation. Sun Quan, forget about it. You already got the gold mithril gloves last time, right? Gold equipment is still very rare right now. Try to give it to those who don't have it, Howren tactfully said. Sun Quan pouted a few times, but in the end, she still chose to give up. However, she still asked unwillingly. But Lu Shui, isn't your elven priestess a healer? Why does she need this equipment? The elven priestess pursed her lips. Of course she needs a healer. Think about it. Originally, a heal would take 3 seconds to cast. Now it only takes 5 seconds. This is a crucial life-saving skill. In short, as long as it's a magic class, let's all bid. The scene suddenly became like a market. The sound of bidding got louder and louder. In the end, this equipment was won by Xia Fei with more than half of the contribution points. The few magic equipment had been auctioned off, and the remaining 5 belonged to the physical classes. Howren raised a piece of armor and said, Heaven's Punisher's Holy Helmet Gold, Agility Type Equipment. The starting price is 1,000 contribution points. I bid 2,000 contribution points. Jiang Junqing was about to bid, but he forcefully swallowed his words. Everyone looked at each other, and no one called out a price for a long time. Howren didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No way, don't you guys need this gold helmet? Yang Feng laughed and said, Who would compete with you? Our lives were saved by you. Everyone had a look of conviction on their faces. As long as Howren wanted the equipment, they probably wouldn't fight for it. This battle had once again allowed them to witness Howren's strength as the number 1 player in Jinling City. As long as Howren was strong enough, he would be able to protect Glory and the city. Everyone thought so. Alright, then I'll take this Heaven's Holy Helmet. Heaven's Punisher's Holy Helmet Quality, Gold Effect, increases strength by 150 points, increases stamina by 150 points, increases agility by 150 points. Secondary absorption effect. Each of your normal attacks has a 10% chance to increase your basic attributes by 1%. Lasts for 1 minute. This effect cannot be stacked more than 50 times. Chapter 2168. The middle-aged man in animal skin was actually a supreme emperor of the human race. In ancient times, this human emperor killed his way into the lair of the Huanma demons and killed all the demons there. This demonic hall was where the Huanma Nirvana was located. It was guarded by 13 demon generals, but the 13 demon generals were not a match for the middle-aged man in animal skin. These 13 powerful demon generals were all smashed to death by the human emperor with a stone stick in his hand. Even their primordial spirits could not escape. However, the Huanma knew the news in advance and actually underwent nirvana in advance. When the human emperor killed his way into the demonic hall, the Huanma had already disappeared. In the rear hall of the demonic hall, there was only an empty coffin. In the coffin, there was only a skull that had not completely melted after the Huanma Nirvana. The Huanma Nirvana seemed to have disappeared from this world. Even the human emperor could not sense its existence. And just when the human emperor was about to leave, he fell into the trap set by the Huanma Nirvana and was infected by the corpse poison of the demon ancestor. The corpse poison corroded his vitality, and caused him to fake his death for countless years. Only today, when the demon hall underwent a drastic change, did the human race's sovereign awaken from his state of suspended animation. Ancient human emperor. Gu Fei was really shocked by the origin of this middle-aged man in animal skin. This person was actually a human supreme in ancient times. It was really unbelievable. Just as he was speaking, a layer of black cheese suddenly appeared on the middle-aged man's face. Right at this moment, Gu Fei seemed to smell a trace of a fishy smell. After that, he felt a wave of dizziness and was practically unable to stand steadily, causing him to be greatly shocked. Humph! The middle-aged man in animal skin revealed a pained expression. Gu Fei could feel that the vitality in the middle-aged man's body that had just recovered not long ago was rapidly weakening. The originally bright eyes were once again shrouded by a layer of dead gray. Roar! The middle-aged man in animal skin roared. His voice was filled with unwillingness. The vitality in his body was being suppressed by the corpse poison. This is the fiend ancestor's corpse poison! Gu Fei was anxious and bewildered. The fiend ancestor was a supreme existence in the fiend race, and the fiends that had the qualifications to be called the fiend ancestor were all extremely ancient innate fiends that were born from the chaos. The demonic ancestor fell, his corpse rotting, turning into corpse poison. This type of corpse poison was incomparably terrifying. If it was allowed to explode, it would be enough to destroy a star with life. Even the sovereigns of the human race almost died in this devil hall after being infected by the corpse poison of the demonic ancestor. Let's go, I can't hold on much longer. The human sovereign roared. Senior human emperor, I have the essence blood of the immortal godly medicine. Perhaps it can cure the corpse poison in your body, Gu Fei said hurriedly. Then, a drop of blood bead emitting a faint fragrance flew out of his dantian. There were Tao patterns intertwining on the blood bead. It's really the essence blood of the immortal godly medicine. The human sovereign couldn't help but be incomparably shocked when he saw that drop of divine liquid. The immortal godly medicine was a life-saving item. Given its medicinal properties, suppressing the corpse poison of the demonic ancestor wasn't a difficult task. One must know that the essence blood of the immortal godly medicine contained an extremely powerful vitality. This vitality was the nemesis of death energy. The middle-aged man in animal skin directly swallowed the drop of immortal godly medicine's essence blood. Boom! The fire of life in his body was instantly reignited. Although it was just a drop of immortal godly medicine's essence blood, it was already sufficient. As the medicinal properties of the immortal godly medicine erupted, the human sovereign's body emitted traces of black qi. This was the corpse poison of the demonic ancestor that was being neutralized by the immortal godly medicine. Let's go. The human sovereign regained his consciousness. The death energy in his body was already suppressed by him. His eyes regained their vigor, gleaming with a bright light. They directly left the devil hall. The devil hall was collapsing, but the devil corpses didn't come out. Very swiftly, the entire hall turned into a pile of rubble as dust filled the air. In the center of the devil hall, a gigantic figure suddenly burst out from the ground. Clanging sounds rang out unceasingly as a great devil struggled to stand up. This was a great devil that was over 10,000 feet tall. His limbs were all chained up. Kill! The immortal godly medicine's essence blood in the human sovereign's body dissolved. He directly took a step forth and appeared before the great devil. Brandishing the stone cudgel in his hand, he smashed down on the great devil's head. Bang! The great devil waved both his hands, wanting to seal the immortal godly medicine. The two forces instantly clashed together, emitting a dull sound of impact. Boom! After receiving the human sovereign's cudgel, the great devil sunk down by a large amount. To actually be able to withstand the might of the human sovereign, this devil isn't simple. Gu Fei mumbled to himself. The strongest expert of the human race was known as the human sovereign. From this, one could very well imagine how powerful the human sovereign was. He really transformed into a true devil body? How is this possible? The human sovereign was shocked and enraged. The development of the situation had already exceeded his estimation. That Huan Mo had truly succeeded, he was reborn from the dead and transformed into a true devil body. The unavoidable battle erupted. On the ruins of the devil hall, the human sovereign brandished his stone cudgel, fighting against the true devil body of Huan Mo. Roar! Huan Mo roared in rage. The chains on his limbs clashed unceasingly, creating clanging sounds. On his gigantic devil body, ancient and profound devil runes could be faintly seen. This was the true devil body, Its physique was incomparably powerful. The ancient human sovereign was also extremely powerful. He could actually suppress that true devil. The stone cudgel in his hand continued to smash against Venerable, causing the latter to bleed profusely. Even the true devil body couldn't withstand it. Jiang Xian, you actually didn't die. Venerable was reborn. At this moment, he finally got what he wanted. He had successfully shed his acquired devil body and transformed into an incomparably powerful true devil body. You haven't died yet, how can I die? Jiang Renhuang was majestic. He was wearing a beast skin and holding a stone cudgel in his hand. He looked like a barbarian from the ancient times. Every time he raised his hand, every step he took, he could shake the entire world. He was ridiculously powerful. Bang! A muffled sound was heard. Demon blood splashed everywhere. The stone cudgel in Jiang Renhuang's hand fiercely smashed against Huan Mo's shoulder. Huan Mo's right hand immediately drooped down. His shoulder bone was directly smashed. Haha, don't waste your energy. You can't kill me. Venerable laughed. At the same time, the wound on his right shoulder was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Very soon, the wound on his right shoulder was completely healed, as if it had never been injured in the first place. Undying devil body. Chapter 2169. The demonic palace was collapsing, turning into strands of extremely pure demonic qi that entered the body of the Huanmo. Even the demonic qi outside the demonic palace was rushing towards the Huanmo. The terrifying true demon body was constantly getting stronger, which shocked Gu Fei, who had retreated to the distance. The pressure from the Huanmo was too great. Even the fire demon ancestor was nothing more than this. One should know that the fire demon ancestor was a Xiantian great demon, not something that ordinary Hotian demons could compare with. But now, the Huanmo could actually stand shoulder to shoulder with a Xiantian great demon. It was unbelievable. Gu Fei discovered that the entire demonic palace was actually transformed by the Huanmo. The demonic qi of the demonic palace was absorbed by the Huanmo, and the dozen demonic shadows rushed out, closing in on him. Jiang Xian, you couldn't do anything to me in the past, and you still can't do anything to me now. The Huanmo's divine sense spread out, and a demonic voice rang in Gu Fei's mind. This divine sense wasn't directed at human sovereign Jiang Xian. Human sovereign Jiang? Could it be the ancestor of the Jiang clan from the ancestral dragon star? Gu Fei was shocked. The ancient clans of the ancestral dragon star had produced a few earth-shattering figures in the past. Otherwise, these clans wouldn't have been able to survive until now. The competition in the world of cultivation had always been cruel. Some of the great clans that once shook the world had now completely declined, and even their legacies had been severed, disappearing in the long passage of time. On the other hand, some ancient factions continued to pass down their inheritance. Even in the darkest of times, they did not lose their inheritance. These clans could continue to exist because of their heritage. Clans that had produced human sovereigns and even supremes in the past had a deep heritage that was unimaginable to outsiders. Their ancestors must have left behind a backup plan. Just like the immortal mansion of the Buzhou ancestral star, their heritage was equally deep, and there was even an immortal Venerable sleeping in their ancestral court divine land. If it wasn't for their bad luck in encountering Gu Fei, their deep heritage would have definitely allowed them to make a comeback, or even return to the ancestral star of the Buzhou ancestral star. Unfortunately, they had encountered Gu Fei, and that was a tragedy. Of course, this was only Gu Fei's guess. Before it was confirmed, anything was possible. Huanmo, you weren't my match back then, and you're even less so now. Jiang Renhuang was incomparably powerful. The power of that drop of immortal godly medicine from Gu Fei had unimaginably miraculous effects, completely restoring the vitality in Jiang Renhuang's body. However, the corpse poison of the evil ancestor was too terrifying. Just one strand of the corpse poison of the evil ancestor could kill all living creatures within 100,000 miles radius. The corpse poison of the evil ancestor in Jiang Renhuang's body was not completely neutralized by the immortal godly medicine. There was still poison remaining in Jiang Renhuang's body, and it was very difficult to remove it. It needed time, but there was no time for Jiang Renhuang to refine the remaining poison in his body. Kill! Without hesitation, Jiang Renhuang used the power of the Renhuang, which was comparable to the power of a supreme being. The powerful power crushed the sky and earth, and the endless demonic aura was dispersed. However, just as Jiang Renhuang used the power of the Renhuang, an extremely terrifying force came down from the depths of the boundless sky. Boom, boom, boom! Terrifying bolts of lightning that connected the sky and the earth suddenly appeared. The bolts of lightning interweaved into a gigantic electric net that enveloped Jiang Renhuang. What is going on? Even the Huanma was startled and hurriedly retreated. The vibration that came from the depths of the sky made even the Huanma's heart palpitate. This was a horrifying power that could not be defended against. He felt danger. ***, they really did it. Jiang Renhuang raised his head to look at the sky. It was as if the sun, the moon, and the stars were floating and sinking in his eyes. An extremely powerful Renhuang aura spread out from his body. God's punishment. Gu Fei sensed the extremely powerful vibration in the sky and his expression changed. Without thinking, he retreated even further away. This kind of power could definitely kill saints. Even saints could not defend against this power, let alone Gu Fei. However, this destructive power that even saints were afraid of, when it landed on Jiang Renhuang, it could not hurt him at all. He really did it. This is against the natural order. Jiang Renhuang seemed to know something, and he was extremely shocked. Boom! 9 dazzling patterns rushed out from Jiang Renhuang's body. These were the Renhuang 9 patterns, 9 patterns that were infinitely close to perfection. The human sovereign's 9 Tao patterns sealed the 4 directions and created a world around Jiang Renhuang, a world that belonged only to Jiang Renhuang. In this space, Jiang Renhuang was the absolute ruler. Even the extremely powerful power in the depths of the sky could not sense Jiang Renhuang's existence. What? Witnessing this scene, Gu Fei was extremely shocked. How was this possible? Jiang Renhuang could use this method to seal himself so that the power in the depths of the sky could not sense his existence. Kill! After creating a space with the Renhuang 9 patterns and sealing his own aura, Jiang Renhuang directly charged towards the Huanma. The powerful Renhuang power poured out and shattered the space. Huanma's shock was no small matter. Jiang Renhuang could use the human sovereign's 9 Tao patterns to seal the void around him, making it difficult for the mighty force from the sky to approach him, but he didn't have such a method. Run! Without a choice, the Huanma could only run. He had just finished his nirvana and could not compete with a peerless warrior like Jiang Renhuang. Once Jiang Renhuang became serious, he would be in trouble. Rumble! Outside the space sealed by Jiang Renhuang's 9 patterns, billions of destructive lightning flashed. It was the destructive power that came from the sky. With this kind of power, even if a Saint King came, there would only be one result: to be destroyed in both body and soul. An endless amount of demonic qi gathered towards the Huanma. The huge pillar of demonic qi that came from the depths of the earth was quickly shrinking. Corpses floating in the demonic qi fell from the sky. It was hard to imagine how many people had been lured into the devil qi by this Huanma over the countless years, and how many people had lost their lives in vain. Countless corpses fell from the sky like it was raining. Most of them were from the human race, but there were also some huge corpses from other races. Damn! Seeing this scene, Jiang Renhuang was furious. The Huanma had killed countless creatures. Even if he were to be killed 10,000 times, it would not be enough. Jiang Renhuang chased after the Huanma directly, bringing along billions of destructive lightning. This scene shocked Gu Fei to the extreme. It was the first time he saw an existence that was not afraid of the power in the sky that was above the great Tao of the world. Chapter 2170. Huanma was very good at escaping. Because he was Huanma, he could create countless clones, making it hard to tell which one was the real one. Endless demonic aura was retreating. Inside the demonic aura, countless demonic shadows appeared. Each shadow emitted a powerful demonic aura. Boom! Hundreds of millions of lightning bolts were raging. Each lightning bolt was as thick as a mountain and could tear the void. Wherever the lightning passed, it would inevitably leave a dark crack in the void. In the center of the endless lightning bolts, there were 9 extremely powerful Tao patterns imprinted in the void, sealing a small world. Inside that small world, there was a middle-aged man wearing animal skin and holding a stone staff. The peerless Renhuang was extremely powerful. He directly chased after Huanmo. With a wave of the stone staff in his hand, countless demonic shadows dissipated in the void, and a large amount of demonic aura was directly dispersed. In just an instant, the 2 great cultivators had already disappeared into the depths of the earth. Gu Fei wanted to chase after them, but in the end, he still stopped. The battle between these powerful cultivators was full of variables. If he was not careful, he might also be affected. It should be known that whether it was Huanmo or Jiangrenhuang, their speed was too fast. Forget it, the harvest this time is not small. Gu Fei was talking to himself. He looked at Jiangrenhuang's 9 Tao patterns and suddenly understood something. If he could understand it, he could try to break through to the saint level. He had already touched that level, but he did not dare to easily try to break through, because the power in the unseen world was too powerful and terrifying. But today, for the first time, he saw a supreme existence that was not afraid of that power. The 9 Tao patterns were mysterious and abstruse. The truth of the world contained in them could absolutely compete with that power. The dozens of demonic corpses also retreated with Huanmo's departure. Gu Fei rushed out from the depths of the earth, then opened his inner world and released Tai Shui Taoist. At this time, the frightening demonic aura in the world was about to completely dissipate. When Tai Shui Taoist saw the corpses all over the ground, he was extremely shocked. These corpses all had one thing in common, and that was that all their essence had been lost, turning them into strange mummies. Their essence, qi, and soul had all been devoured. There was only one result, and that was their soul would scatter. These creatures were already dead to the point where they couldn't be more dead, and there was still demonic qi lingering on their bodies. Let's go back first. After saying that, Gu Fei headed in the direction of the ancient ruins. Although the iron-blood Taoist wanted to know what had happened, he had no time to ask because Gu Fei was already far away. He quickly chased after her. Soon, they returned to the ancient city ruins. At this time, Gu Fei did not expect to see outsiders in the ancient city ruins. "It's you!" A woman wearing a golden mask was sitting cross-legged beside the teleportation array in the ancient city ruins. She was the Golden Goddess. Gu Fei didn't expect the Golden Goddess to be able to make it all the way. The demonic qi over there was overwhelming, but now it has calmed down. Just what in the world happened? The Golden Goddess opened her eyes, and 2 rays of golden light shot out from behind the golden mask. A faint golden light circulated around her body. "Why should I tell you?" Gu Fei said with a smile. "You." The Golden Goddess couldn't help but be startled. After thinking about it, she realized that it made sense. Why would he tell her? "Haha, if you want to know what happened, it's actually not that difficult," Gu Fei said as he looked at the Golden Goddess with a meaningful look. "Tell me, what do you want?" The Golden Goddess was very straightforward. There was nothing in this world that came without sowing. If he wanted to know something, he would have to pay the price. "It's very simple. You just need to take off the mask on your face," Gu Fei said. The Golden Goddess's golden mask was very extraordinary. Even though Gu Fei had cultivated the martial path heavenly eye, he couldn't see through it. It was difficult for him to see the Golden Goddess's face. "What?" The Golden Goddess was startled. Then, she fell silent and stopped talking. "Heh, my master just wants to see your true appearance. Why don't you just take off your mask and let my master have a look?" Gu Zhong said with a smile. "Humph." The Golden Goddess snorted coldly but still didn't say anything. "Could it be that the goddess's face is made of gold?" Someone among the 12 bandits said. "You're courting death." The Golden Goddess waved her hand and a golden light immediately rushed out, sweeping towards the 12 bandits. The 12 bandits were startled. They never thought that the Golden Goddess would dare to attack in front of Gu Fei. Just when they wanted to dodge, a figure was already standing in front of them. A bird's cry was heard. A firebird emerged from that person's body. A hand reached out from the divine flames and blocked the golden light. "Goddess, why do you need to lower yourself to their level?" A voice was heard. The person who blocked the Golden Goddess's attack was a middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. This person was the Iron Blood Taoist. The Golden Goddess snorted coldly and stopped attacking. "All right, all of you, behave yourselves. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion," Gu Fei said to the 12 bandits. "Master is going to cultivate in seclusion. Master's cultivation is going to break through again?" Everyone was shocked. They knew very well that Gu Fei had already come into contact with that level. If Gu Fei's cultivation broke through again, wouldn't he become a saint? Chapter 2171. Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yuner of the Xian clan arrived at the third stage of the human race. At this moment, Gu Fei and the others had already entered his inner world. The Golden Goddess had also left the ruins. Only Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yuner remained in the ruins. "I can sense Gu Fei's presence, as well as the presence of demons." Zi Yuner's constitution was very special. She could sense even the slightest ripple in her surroundings. She could even sense the pulse of the world. She was naturally close to the laws of the world. "Gu Fei has actually been ahead of us all this time." Zi Yunxiao's expression immediately turned ugly when he heard this. Gu Fei was the most powerful opponent he had ever faced in his life. The purpose of his cultivation was to ruthlessly trample on this opponent. As a member of a sovereign clan, Zi Yunxiao was very arrogant. To him, the most noble blood in the world flowed within the Ziyun clan. They were the descendants of sovereigns. Losing to Gu Fei was a shadow in Zi Yunxiao's heart. He would fight Gu Fei again sooner or later. Otherwise, he would never be satisfied. "The Golden Goddess has also stayed here before," Zi Yuner said with a frown. The Golden Goddess was a member of the Huang clan. This clan also had the lineage of sovereigns and was not inferior to the Ziyun clan. The Golden Goddess was one of the most outstanding figures of the current generation of the Huang clan, while Zi Yuner was also a well-known figure in the current generation of the Ziyun clan. Both of them were women, so people had always compared them in the world of cultivation. Was Zi Yuner stronger, or was the Golden Goddess able to suppress the female geniuses of the Ziyun clan? No one knew the result. Zi Yuner and the Golden Goddess had never fought before, so it was difficult to say who was stronger. Rumble! At this moment, a thunderous sound suddenly rang out from afar. A powerful aura swept over from afar. "This is..." Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yuner were shocked. They hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound. In the distant sky, two powerful figures were fighting. A ball of divine light that resembled a golden sun moved quickly in the air, clashing with a ball of green demon chi. "It's her!" When the Zi siblings saw the person within the golden light, they couldn't help but be startled. This person was actually the Golden Goddess. At that moment, the Golden Goddess ran into trouble. The expert fighting the Golden Goddess wasn't a human, but a demonic expert emitting a monstrous demonic aura. A tiger that is infinitely close to the saint level. Zi Yuner could see the true appearance of the ancient demon. It was an extremely ferocious tiger. The tiger had taken on a human form and was a middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. Zi Yuner was naturally close to the great Tao of heaven and earth. She had a pair of divine eyes that could see through all illusions. "That tiger demon is quite impressive. He can actually fight the Golden Goddess endlessly," Zi Yunxiao exclaimed. "One must know that the Golden Goddess was not an ordinary person. She was a descendant of the sovereign bloodline. Such an existence was much more powerful than ordinary people." "Kill!" the Golden Goddess bellowed furiously. This tiger demon had appeared out of nowhere. The moment it saw the Golden Goddess, it attacked, wanting to kill her. Boom! Bang! The two forces kept colliding. The void was collapsing. Dull sounds of collisions were constantly heard. In the sky, there was a huge hole in the void created by the Golden Goddess and the Tiger Demon. The void could not withstand such a powerful force. "Evil creature, do you really want to force me to kill you?" the Golden Goddess said as she attacked. Rays of dazzling golden light rushed out of her hands and turned into golden divine swords, piercing towards Taoist Hu. Taoist Hu was one of the rare experts in this desolate world. His original form was a tiger. He had taken on a human form and called himself Taoist Hu. In this desolate world where the human clan was extinct, the most powerful existence was the Huanma. But now, the Huanma had been scared away by Jiangren Huang. Apart from the Huanma, there were many demon clan members in this world. Taoist Hu was one of the few demon clan experts in the great wilderness. "After devouring you, I can break through my current realm," Taoist Hu said as he dodged the golden divine swords. Taoist Hu said as he dodged the piercing golden divine sword. In his eyes, the Golden Goddess was the best food. If he could defeat the Golden Goddess and devour her essence, chi, and spirit, it would absolutely be of great benefit to him. "Very well, then go to hell." The Golden Goddess was shocked and angry. Then she waved her hands in front of her. Rays of golden light rushed out, intertwined into a golden net, and shrouded Taoist Hu. The golden net covered the whole world, completely blocking all of Taoist Hu's escape routes. Taoist Hu was shocked. He did not expect his opponent to have such a move. She was forcing him to fight with her, which was very disadvantageous to him. Buzz. Taoist Hu opened his mouth and spat out a large seal, which smashed towards the golden net. On the seal, there were faint tiger stripes. The legendary white tiger seal. The Golden Goddess was shocked. But soon she found that the seal only emitted a wave of sage-level power. This was a divine device, but it was not the white tiger seal of the divine beast white tiger in the legend. It turns out to be a counterfeit. The Golden Goddess breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, the white tiger seal collided with the golden net. With a muffled sound, the white tiger seal tore a big hole in the golden net. Countless golden Taoist patterns were dissipating. Taoist Hu activated the sage-level power contained in the counterfeit white tiger seal. At this time, he was extremely powerful and confident that no one under the sage-level power could compete with him. This was Taoist Hu's last card. If even the counterfeit white tiger seal could not defeat his opponent, then he could only run away. Rumble! The counterfeit white tiger seal was shaking, and the entire world was shaking as well. Ancient and mysterious white tiger divine marks appeared on the huge seal. Roar! An illusory image of a white tiger appeared in the void and roared at the sky. An extremely dangerous aura spread out in all directions from the white tiger seal. At that moment, the golden net that the Golden Goddess had conjured had completely dissipated in the void. The Golden Goddess immediately retreated 50 kilometers away. "Humph, you can't escape. Come here and let me devour you." With the counterfeit white tiger seal in his hand, Taoist Hu approached the Golden Goddess step by step. Every time he took a step, the whole world and the void trembled. Taoist Hu seemed to be taking a casual step, but he had triggered the momentum of heaven and earth, and controlled the pulse of heaven and earth. He gathered a peerless and powerful wave of power to suppress the Golden Goddess. Taoist Hu's cultivation was indeed powerful. He could easily resonate with the great way of heaven and earth and mobilize the power of heaven and earth to attack his opponent. Taoist Hu was only one step away from becoming a sage, but he was not in a hurry to take that step. He seemed to know the consequences of breaking through to the sage level. Very good. That's more like it. The Golden Goddess retreated again. Taoist Hu was extremely powerful and seemed to have the upper hand. However, only Taoist Hu knew that his opponent's cultivation and battle strength were definitely not weaker than his. Roar! A roar suddenly came from the Golden Goddess. Then, a golden dragon rushed out from her body. An overwhelming aura emanated from the golden dragon's body. That's... Ziyun Xiao and Ziyun Xiao were shocked when they saw this. They could feel an extremely powerful wave of sage-level power from the golden dragon. Another divine weapon. A divine sword transforming into a dragon. Is this the golden dragon sword of the Golden Clan? Zi Yunxiao muttered to himself. He was from the Xian clan, so he naturally knew a lot about the Golden Clan. The Golden Dragon Sword was a protective divine weapon refined by a senior expert in the Golden Clan. This Golden Dragon Sword was different from the others. It was made of a rare divine iron and was extremely sharp. An ordinary divine weapon could not withstand it at all. At this moment, the golden dragon formed by the sword chi rushed toward Taoist Hu. The cold sword chi caused the surrounding temperature to drop rapidly. Taoist Hu was extremely shocked. His opponent also had a divine weapon, and it was much more powerful than his counterfeit white tiger seal. This was not a good thing. Without any suspense, the white tiger seal was a counterfeit and not the real one. The seal was directly sent flying by the golden dragon sword chi. Taoist Hu was also affected. He vomited blood and retreated. These humans! Taoist Hu reached out and recalled the counterfeit white tiger seal. He turned around and left. His opponent's divine weapon was more powerful than his. If he did not leave now, he would only be killed by his opponent. Where are you going? The golden goddess would not let this tiger demon go so easily. She recalled the golden dragon sword and chased after him. Soon, the two experts disappeared into the distance. Should we go after them and see? Zi Yuna looked at her elder brother Zi Yunxiao and said, The outcome has been decided. That tiger demon is no match for the golden goddess. There is no need to watch, Zi Yunxiao said. With his eyesight, how could he not see that the tiger demon had been defeated? He was not interested in watching such a battle. In the end, Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao decided to find Gu Fei first. Therefore, they walked in the great wilderness. However, in the end, they still returned to the ancient city ruins. Zi Yuna was shocked to find that Gu Fei's aura had disappeared from the ancient city ruins. Could it be that Gu Fei has already left? Zi Yunxiao's expression was not so good. He was still brooding over his defeat at the hands of Gu Fei. In fact, even if Zi Yunxiao turned the entire great wilderness upside down, he would not be able to find Gu Fei. This was because Gu Fei was in seclusion in his own inner world. Chapter 2172. Gu Fei was comprehending the way. For him, his martial body was strong enough, but his understanding of the way was not enough. If he wanted to become a saint, he had to understand the way to an almost perfect level. Just like human Emperor Jiangxian, Gu Fei was inspired by the nearly perfect human emperor's 9 Tao patterns. It was not impossible to become a saint, even in the current world. The power that was above the heavenly way in the world was not impossible to resist. At least, human Emperor Jiangxian had successfully demonstrated the divine power of human emperor. This made Gu Fei see hope. As long as his understanding of the way could reach the level of human Emperor Jiangxian, he would be able to become a saint. However, it was almost impossible to comprehend a nearly perfect way. Gu Fei knew that if his understanding of the way reached the level of human Emperor Jiangxian, he could become another human emperor. It was not an easy task to become the supreme ruler of the human race. To a certain extent, the human emperor could be considered the supreme ruler of the world. In Gu Fei's inner world, there was a valley. From time to time, Tao patterns rushed out. The great way of the world fluctuated in the valley. It was as if a world was evolving in the valley. Is Master going to break through to the saint level? Many people were standing on a low mountain outside the valley. Gu Zhong looked at the valley in front of him in shock and said, Master is going to become a saint. Yao Yu was shocked. A saint was the most powerful existence in the world. However, she also knew that it was impossible to become a saint in the current world. It is impossible to become a saint in the human world. Your master is comprehending the way. At this time, Iron Blood Taoist spoke. He stared at the valley in front of him, and sensed the way rhyme coming from the valley. His face was very serious. The way that Iron Blood Taoist comprehended was different from Gu Fei's. However, he could use Gu Fei's way as a reference. This was a good opportunity. Maybe it could help him to improve his understanding of the way. Since he could not become a saint, he would find another way. This was the inspiration that Gu Fei received after watching the battle between human Emperor Jiang Xian and Huanmo. This was a path that no one had taken before, and perhaps it could be used to become a saint. It was precisely because no one had tried it that Gu Fei had to explore everything by himself. Buzz! At that moment, the sound of the void rumbling came from the valley. On a stone platform in the valley, a figure sat cross-legged. There were 9 blurry Tao patterns around this figure. These were the 9 Tao patterns that Gu Fei had comprehended. However, these were only the embryonic forms of the 9 Tao patterns. Once these 9 Tao patterns were formed, he would be able to become a saint. Gu Fei's entire person seemed to have merged with the great path of heaven and earth. He used the anti-emptiness secret technique to merge his body with heaven and earth, using the heavenly path as a reference. The divine sound of the great path faintly emanated from his body. This was the resonance between his path and the heavenly path. Just as Gu Fei was comprehending the heavenly Tao, the third stage of the human race's ancient road was in chaos. Incomparably powerful wild beasts emerged from the depths of the great wilderness. The golden goddess killed Taoist Hu. This was the cause of this chaos. Taoist Hu was one of the most powerful wild beasts in the great wilderness. He had the bloodline of the ancient divine beast, the white tiger, in his body. He was extremely powerful. The death of this wild beast made all the wild beasts in the great wilderness feel threatened. These foreign humans were a source of threat to the wild beasts in the great wilderness. A few incomparably powerful wild beasts joined forces and launched a terrifying beast tide. Not only the Golden Goddess, but Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao were also affected. Countless wild beasts wreaked havoc. Even the Golden Goddess had to retreat. The Golden Goddess was forced to retreat by the joint forces of the 3 wild beasts. She was chased by the 3 wild beasts for millions of miles. She was extremely embarrassed, and finally managed to shake off the 3 wild beasts with great difficulty. Among the 3 emperors of the savage beasts, one of them was a holy beast that had sealed its sage-level cultivation. Against such an existence, even if the Golden Goddess had the sacred weapon of the Gold Clan, it was not enough. It should be known that the physical body of a sacred beast was a sacred weapon. The physical body of a sacred beast was unbelievably tough. It could fight against the sacred weapon refined by a human. After the 3 beast sovereigns lost track of the Golden Goddess, they went after Zi Yunxiao and his sister. The 3 beast sovereigns intercepted Zi Yunxiao and his sister in the sky above a mountain. "Human, prepare to die!" The sacred beast that had sealed itself sent a message to Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao. Then, it extended its claw and grabbed at Zi Yuner. A powerful force enveloped the surroundings and sealed the space. This seemingly casual grab had actually sealed off all of Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao's escape routes. This was a divine ape. It was 3 meters tall and covered in long black fur. An extremely fierce killing intent radiated from the divine ape's body. "You're courting death." When Zi Yunxiao saw the godly ape attack his little sister, he was enraged. He then took a step forward and stood between Zi Yuner and the godly ape. Boom! Zi Yunxiao was like a celestial that had descended from the heavens. The celestial aura he exuded was unprecedentedly powerful. A great battle broke out. The divine ape was extremely powerful. It fought endlessly against Zi Yunxiao. For a moment, a victor had yet to be determined between the two. Roar! The divine ape roared again and again. This was the strongest opponent it had ever encountered. It found it hard to imagine that there was still an existence among the humans that could fight against a wild beast. Zi Yunxiao's strength made the divine ape uneasy. After all, he was a sacred beast. Although he had sealed his cultivation and strength, his physical body was truly a sacred body. Why is there such a powerful existence in this place? Zi Yunxiao was extremely shocked as well. The third stage of the ancient road of the humans was extraordinary. The wild beasts here had reached such a terrifying level. They had just arrived at this place, and they had already encountered such an opponent. "Big brother, do you need me to help?" Zi Yuner had already retreated. She watched the battle anxiously. The divine ape was extremely powerful. In her opinion, her big brother had not become a saint yet. The chances of him winning against such a self-sealing existence were not high. No need, Xianxiao said calmly. If he could not even subdue the divine ape, then he would not have the right to fight against Gu Fei. After all, Gu Fei had once fought against a self-sealing saint from the Ziyun clan. Die! An endless amount of purple lightning surged from Xianxiao's body. He rushed towards the divine ape, and the murderous intent he exuded caused the surrounding temperature to drop. Roar! It was like a real, peerless divine weapon. The terrifying waves that spread out shocked the divine ape. To think that this human was already this strong even though he wasn't a saint. If he were to become a saint, what would he be like then? However, the divine ape soon realized that no one in the current world could become a sage in the human realm unless there was a major change. The human world could be said to be the burial ground of saints. As long as someone dared to break the seal on their body and regain their saint cultivation, a terrifying calamity would descend from the heavens and earth, killing the saint. Unless the saint was a human emperor, not even an immortal Venerable would be able to withstand the force of the calamity. Bang! The divine ape waved his fist and punched upwards. His powerful saint physique exploded with a terrifying force. Every time he punched, the five-colored roulette that was descending from the heavens would tremble. Damn! Xianxiao did not dare to be careless. He used all his strength to control the five elements wheel. The patterns of the five elements intertwined and formed mysterious and ancient patterns. A destructive force descended from the five-colored roulette. Roar! The divine ape roared in anger and punched upwards again and again. However, the five-colored roulette was still pressing down on him. It was as if the real-world annihilation roulette had appeared in the world. At this moment, Ziyun was extremely nervous. He knew that Xianxiao had already used all his strength. The five elements chi was rising from his body. He had already used the five elements technique to its maximum. I'll fight it out with you. The divine ape sensed danger. This human really had the ability to threaten him. He opened his mouth and spat out a black divine pearl. Endless black lightning bloomed from the divine pearl. The black divine pearl rushed towards the five elements wheel that was descending from the heavens. Boom! With a loud bang, the divine pearl collided with the five elements wheel. An earth-shattering sound erupted. The world annihilation roulette that Xianxiao had conjured with all his strength was shattered by the black divine pearl. Countless patterns of the five elements were dissipating. Pfft! Just as the black divine pearl shattered the five elements wheel, Xianxiao felt a great impact. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was sent flying. Big brother! Ziyun was shocked. She never expected that the situation would be reversed so quickly. The black divine pearl was definitely a saint item. Moreover, it was a powerful saint item. She hurriedly rushed towards Xianxiao. Rays of spiritual light rushed from all directions and entered Xianxiao's body. Ziyun was using a great technique to heal Xianxiao's injuries. In an instant, Xianxiao's injuries were completely healed. Born with a close relationship with the great path of heaven and earth. There's actually such a body type in this world. When the divine ape saw Ziyun using a great technique, his eyes lit up. Not everyone could use such a technique to control the spiritual chi from all directions. However, it was different for those who were born with a close relationship with the great path of heaven and earth. Those with such a body type were like the favored children of the heavens, and were favored by the heavens. Brother Ziyun, how about we join forces and kill this old ape? Suddenly, a voice came from afar. Then, a woman wearing a golden mask walked over from afar. It's you! When the divine ape saw the golden goddess, his eyes immediately turned vertical. His eyes were shining. This was the woman from the human clan who had killed his right-hand man, Taoist Hu. If these two humans were to join forces, things would not be good. The divine ape knew that although he was strong, this woman from the human clan had a saint item on her. These two humans might also have saint items on them. He had already guessed where these humans had come from. The ancient road of the human clan might have been repaired by the human clan. Otherwise, no one from the human clan would be able to come here. The divine ape had lived for countless years. Even his eyelashes were hollow. He did not wait for Zi Yunxiao to do anything. He retreated into the distance and quickly disappeared into the great wilderness with his group of subordinates. This guy is in closed-door training. Could it be that he wants to break through to the saint level? When they heard the news that Gu Fei had gone into closed-door cultivation, Zi Yunxiao and his sister were truly shocked. After all, Gu Fei's cultivation had already reached the peak of the saint rank. If Gu Fei's cultivation advanced another half a step, he would be a saint. He doesn't dare to become a saint, the Golden Goddess said. That's true. Zi Yunxiao came to a realization. It was common knowledge that it was impossible to become a saint in the current era. No one dared to break through to that level because even if they succeeded, the outcome would be the same, death. However, Gu Fei had gone into closed-door training. This wasn't a good thing for the Zi siblings. In the end, Zi Yunxiao and his sister returned to the ancient ruins. At this time, the old ape didn't appear again. The old ape was really cautious. At this time, in a valley in Gu Fei's inner world, the great Tao of heaven and earth was vast and mighty. Tao patterns that emitted the aura of heaven and earth were interweaving. What is Master doing? On a small mountain in the distance, Gu Zhong had been observing the movements in the opposite valley. The aura of the heavenly Tao made his heart palpitate. It was as if a great world was evolving. The fluctuations of the great Tao of heaven and earth made people feel a great pressure. He's comprehending and deducing the heavenly Tao. The Iron Blood Taoist's voice sounded behind Gu Zhong. Only the Iron Blood Taoist, who had the highest cultivation, could see what Gu Fei was doing. Gu Fei was using the heavenly Tao to perfect his Tao. This was the most common method of comprehending the Tao. Most cultivators who had reached Gu Fei's level would use this method to perfect their Tao. Even the Iron Blood Taoist was no exception. At his level of cultivation, comprehending the Tao was the only way out. Once he comprehended his true Tao and evolved the 9 Tao patterns, he could become a saint. The heavenly Tao is unpredictable. It really isn't as simple as it sounds. Gu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on the stone platform, muttered to himself. His entire body was emitting Tao patterns. The 9 blurry Tao patterns fused with the other Tao patterns. This made Gu Fei's entire aura seem to fuse with the heavenly Tao. It was as if he was the supreme heavenly Tao, a supreme God who could control the lives and deaths of billions of living beings in the world. The heavenly Tao was difficult to truly comprehend. Gu Fei discovered that the heavenly Tao was constantly changing and was hard to grasp. Around Gu Fei, countless Tao patterns were born and then destroyed. However, the total number of Tao patterns would not increase or decrease. The emotionless heavenly Tao remained at 49 Tao patterns that were naturally born from heaven and earth. The heavenly Tao was changing, but no matter how much it changed, it would always maintain 49 Tao patterns. This phenomenon puzzled Gu Fei. Why would there be such a change? Could it be that the Tao was not unstable and could constantly change? No one could answer Gu Fei. He could only rely on himself to comprehend all of this. He sat there for 10 years. He seemed to have forgotten the existence of time. His divine sense was in a special state of merging with the heavenly Tao. 10 years. For the past 10 years, Gu Zhong and the other disciples had been staying outside the valley. Even the 12 great bandits were the same. They could comprehend the heavenly Tao here, which made their cultivation twice the result with half the effort. In these 10 years, Gu Zhong's cultivation finally broke through to the 7th heaven of Almighty Realm. Yao Yu was also only a step away from the Almighty Emperor Realm. The one who improved the most was Gu Zhong's new disciple, Meng Long. As the most outstanding talent of the Meng clan, Meng Long did not disappoint Gu Zhong. In these 10 years, he advanced triumphantly and cultivated to the immortal God realm. Among the 12 great bandits, Zhu Gulian's cultivation improved a lot. He took another big step towards the quasi-sage realm and became a grand completion half-sage. Even the other members of the 12 great bandits had broken through the bottleneck of their cultivation. They took the most important step towards the sage realm and achieved half-sage Dao fruit. Zhong Liming's cultivation was similar to Yao Yu's. He was also only a step away from the almighty Emperor realm. This was an incomparably powerful force. If it was released, it would be enough to sweep through a region in the human realm and become a powerful existence at the level of an overlord. But at this time, this force was still in hiding. This was because the owner of this force was still in seclusion. What's going on? At noon, Gu Zhong woke up from his cultivation. He was shocked to sense that the fluctuation of the heavenly Tao in the valley was gradually weakening. Is Master coming out of seclusion? At this time, a woman appeared on the mountain. This woman was Gu Fei's disciple and Gu Zhong's junior sister Yao Yu. The aura of the heavenly Tao is weakening. Old Flood Dragon's voice was heard. At this time, Old Flood Dragon was different from 10 years ago. The aura of the true dragon on his body was stronger. This was a sign that the true dragon's bloodline had been refined to become purer. Old Flood Dragon had great ambitions. He wanted to become a powerful existence like the ancient ancestral dragon. It's time. Iron Blood Taoists also came to the small mountain. In the end, even the 12 great bandits were alarmed. At this time, in the valley, countless Tao patterns were dissipating. The heavenly Tao was dissipating, but the 9 blurry Tao patterns around Gu Fei became much clearer. However, the 9 chaos Tao patterns were still not fully formed. They were still very blurry. However, the aura of the great path that emanated from the 9 Tao patterns was much stronger. After sitting for 10 years, Gu Fei had undoubtedly gained a lot. It was known that it was very difficult for him to improve his cultivation at his current level. In particular, the comprehension of the great path was especially difficult. It was harder than ascending to the heavens to improve one step. This was also one of the reasons why it was so difficult to become a saint. Even in ancient times, it wasn't easy to become a saint. The 9 Kaith's Tao patterns circled around Gu Fei. After all the 49 heavenly Tao patterns dissipated, the 9 Kaith's Tao patterns also disappeared into Gu Fei's body. Phew! Gu Fei's chest and abdomen moved. He opened his mouth and let out a mouthful of turbid air. Then, he opened his eyes. In his eyes, the Chaos Tao patterns were faintly discernible. When Gu Fei stood up, a sonic boom immediately rang out from his body. He hadn't moved for 10 years, causing his body to feel a little stiff. After tidying up his clothes and stretching, Gu Fei jumped off the stone platform and walked out of the valley. Master, Master! When Gu Fei walked out of the valley, Gu Zhong and the others came to greet him. I broke through. Iron Blood Taoist's eyes lit up when he saw Gu Fei. Gu Fei gave him a different feeling, but he could not tell what was different about Gu Fei. Yes. Gu Fei nodded. Master, you have been in seclusion for 10 years. Yao Yu said. 10 years. Gu Fei was shocked when he heard this. It had been so long, so long. He thought that he would only be in seclusion for a few months. Gu Fei did not expect that 10 years had passed in the blink of an eye. 10 years was nothing for cultivators, but for mortals, there were not many 10 years in their lives. I wonder what's going on outside, Gu Fei said. Chapter 2175. In the sky above the ancient city ruins, transparent ripples appeared silently. Then, a circular tunnel appeared in the void. A wave of inner-world energy came out from the circular passageway. Then, a group of people walked out of the passageway. Boom! As soon as the group of people walked out of the tunnel, a divine mountain that emitted a terrifying fluctuation fell from the sky and smashed towards them. What? No one thought that they would be attacked as soon as they came out. Gu Zhong and the others were shocked and angry. Who dared to attack them? That person must be tired of living. Gu Zhong didn't hesitate. He took a step forward and punched upwards. A dazzling golden light bloomed from his fist. Golden Tao patterns appeared on his fist. Bang! Gu Zhong's fist fiercely smashed against the divine mountain that was falling from the sky. A powerful fist force erupted, and the entire divine mountain was blown into the sky by his fist force. In terms of physical strength, among all the cultivators, only the Vajraryo body of the Buddhist sect or the undying body of the demons could compete with the martial body. When the martial body was cultivated to the great completion realm, it could compete with the innate divine beasts of the ancient times. How is this possible? A cry of surprise was heard. Then, Gu Zhong and the others saw a figure rushing up to the sky. The figure took the divine mountain and retreated into the distance. Humph! Gu Zhong snorted coldly. He took a step forward and instantly disappeared. In the next moment, his figure appeared high up in the sky. As a seventh heaven almighty, his strength and speed had more than doubled. Especially the strength of the martial body, it was comparable to the divine weapon refined by a peak almighty. It could be said that the current Gu Zhong was a divine weapon of the Almighty in human form. You sneak attacked us and you want to leave just like that? Gu Zhong's voice was extremely cold. He was really angry. This person was too despicable. Fortunately, it was them. If it was someone else, they might not be so lucky. That divine mountain was definitely a divine weapon refined by a peak almighty. That person is going to be unlucky. Yao Yu and Old Flood Dragon couldn't help shaking their heads. The person who attacked them wasn't a half-step saint, but a peak expert. A peak expert was nothing in Gu Zhong's eyes. Although he was only a seventh heaven almighty, this peak almighty was far from being a match for him. Gu Zhong only took 3 steps in the void, and he had already caught up to the pinnacle almighty. His speed was so fast that it left everyone speechless. What? The almighty at the pinnacle was shocked. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate today. The pinnacle expert was a middle-aged Taoist. Judging from his attire, he should be someone from the Buzhou ancestral star, but Gu Zhong was surprised as to how he managed to get here. Could it be that someone from Buzhou ancestral star had begun to step onto this ancient path? 10 years wasn't a short period of time. During these 10 years, Gu Zhong and the others stayed in Gu Fei's inner world. They had no idea what was happening in the outside world. At this time, the others who came out from Gu Fei's inner world were also shocked. There were many houses in the ruins of the ancient city. The ruins were no longer barren, but had been cleared by someone. Many pavilions were built and many people were walking around. What happened here in the past 10 years? Yao Yu couldn't help but ask. Everyone shook their heads. At this moment, a figure rushed out from one of the floating islands in the sky above the ancient city ruins. That person quickly flew towards Yao Yu and the others. Fellow Taoists, where are you from? The person came in front of everyone and couldn't help but be shocked. He never expected that there would be so many experts of the human race in the ancient city ruins. At this time, the passage in the void had already disappeared. Gu Fei didn't come out with the others. It was a thin old man with a smile on his face, but in fact, he was extremely nervous. Such a group of people had directly appeared in the 3rd stage of the ancient road of the human race. It was something that had never happened before. It should be known that those who set foot on the ancient road of the human race were usually alone or in groups of 2 or 3 to take care of each other. However, it was extremely rare for a large group of people to set foot on the ancient road of the human race. What happened here? It wasn't like this 10 years ago. Old Zhao glanced at the thin old man and said indifferently. The fact that the old man was a half-step saint surprised him. 10 years ago. The thin old man couldn't help but be shocked. Could these people have been here 10 years ago? How was that possible? 10 years ago, no one dared to set foot on the ancient road of the human race. The changes of the ancient road of the human race happened in the past 5 or 6 years. Several superpowers of Buzhou ancestral star joined forces to reopen the ancient road of the human race. It was also for this reason that many people took the risk to set foot on this ancient road. Yes. Seeing that the old man didn't answer his question, old Jiao couldn't help but feel a little unhappy. Hee, these things can't be explained in a short time. Why don't you all come with me to Levitating Island? The old man said with a smile. In front of such a group of people, he really didn't dare to be careless, because there were a few half-step saints in this group. In particular, there was a Taoist in the middle of the group, who he couldn't see through. Levitating island. Old Jiao looked up into the sky and saw an island floating high in the sky. The island was surrounded by a layer of water, but the water around the island didn't fall down. "What do you think?" Old Jiao said to Yao Yu and the Iron-Blood Taoist. The Iron-Blood Taoist nodded, while Yao Yu didn't have any objections. Only Zhong Limeng looked up at the island in the sky and frowned. "Please!" The thin old man made an inviting gesture and then led the way. He led the group into the sky and flew towards the island in the sky. Everyone was skilled and bold, but they weren't afraid of the old man playing tricks. They followed the old man into the levitating island without any scruples. At this time, Gu Zhong had already caught up with the Peak Almighty. The Peak Almighty's cultivation was also extremely powerful, and when he fought with his life on the line, he was extremely fierce. Even someone as powerful as Gu Zhong couldn't kill him in a short time. An hour later, Gu Zhong finally killed that pinnacle expert on the spot. This battle had destroyed a mountain range, alarming everyone in the vicinity. "Who is that person? He actually killed an expert of the Hellion family," someone whispered. "It's none of our business. It's better for us to mind our own business," someone said. "Hey, where are those guys?" Chapter 2176. On the floating island, Yao Yu and the others felt like they had entered a fairyland. The island was decorated with pavilions and terraces, small bridges, and flowing rivers. The haze was faint, and it was a feast for the eyes. From time to time, all kinds of immortal birds could be seen roaming the mountains. There was a divine deer with 9 colored antlers drinking by a mountain stream, and there was a red-crowned crane fluttering by a small lake. The floating island was like a paradise of immortals. The thin old man led everyone into a palace in this paradise. "Fellow Taoists, please wait a moment. I'll go invite my master." As the thin old man spoke, he turned around and walked to the back of the hall. At that moment, a few fairies walked out from the back of the hall with immortal tea in their hands. "This old man is actually not the owner of this place." Yao Yu and the Iron-Blood Taoists looked at each other in shock. This old man seemed to be a servant, a half-saint servant. The owner of this place must have a great background. The 12 great bandits had no choice but to be cautious. "Ha! I didn't think that I would be able to meet Brother Iron-Blood here. This is truly fate." Soon, a white-haired, ruddy-faced, white-robed old man walked out from the back of the palace. "It's you." When he saw the white-robed old man, Taoist Iron-Blood couldn't help but be shocked as his expression turned unsightly. This old man was actually the younger brother of the South Pole Immortal Manor's Manor Lord, the Earth Immortal Old Man. "I was wondering who could do this, but it turns out to be you. You still love to be in the limelight." The Iron-Blood Taoist glanced at Lu Di Immortal One before speaking in disdain. He didn't have the slightest bit of goodwill towards the people from the South Pole Immortal Manor. The people from the South Pole Immortal Manor were all sanctimonious fellows. Hee, how can I face myself if I don't enjoy my life to the fullest?" Lu Di Immortal One smiled. Although Lu Di Immortal One was the younger brother of South Pole Immortal Venerable, there was a huge difference between the two. Lu Di Immortal One acted in a high-profile manner while his brother was very low-key. Not many of the old geezers on Ancestral Buzhou had seen South Pole Immortal Venerable's true appearance. South Pole Immortal Venerable was very mysterious. The demigod Immortal Old Man had moved his floating island to the 3rd trial of the ancient road of humankind. What a generous move! Even though this floating island wasn't a true grotto heaven, it was still comparable to half a grotto heaven. This was a divine item that the South Pole Immortal Sovereign had personally refined for his younger brother. "Fellow Taoist Iron-Blood, I heard that you've sided with Gu Fei. Is that true?" Lu Xianweng sat down and asked Iron-Blood Taoist. "Don't make it sound so bad. It's our good fortune to be able to follow our master." The strongest bandit of the 12 bandits, Zhuge Liang, waved the 5-colored feather fan in his hand and said calmly, I'm talking to fellow Taoist Iron Blood. What right do you have to interrupt? The Earth Immortal Old Man was a little unhappy. Old Man Lu, tell us, why did you invite us here? The Iron Blood Taoist did not want to waste time with this guy and went straight to the point. Very good, you're straightforward enough. However, you don't seem to be able to make the decision on this matter. What should we do? You should go back and invite your master over first. Humph. Hearing this, the Iron Blood Taoist couldn't help but get angry. This Earth Immortal Old Man was really too despicable. He had no idea how this guy managed to survive until now without being killed. Yao Yu and the 12 bandits' expressions changed. This Earth Immortal Old Man was actually looking down on them. This guy was just a demi-saint, but he was too arrogant. I won't send you off. The Earth Immortal Old Man waved his hand without even standing up. Iron Blood, junior sister, are you guys inside? At this moment, a voice came from afar. Hearing this voice, everyone in the hall was shocked, especially the Earth Immortal Old Man. His expression turned ugly. Someone actually broke into the floating island without him knowing? Who is it? A loud shout was heard. Then, a powerful energy wave came from the outside. Someone was fighting outside the hall. Outrageous. Immortal slave, kill without mercy. The Earth Immortal Old Man ordered. You. The Iron Blood Taoist was shocked. One should know that the person outside was the eldest disciple of Gu Fei. If anything happened to Gu Zhong, Gu Fei would definitely go crazy. Everyone hurriedly rushed out of the hall. When they came out, they saw a skinny old man fighting against a young man on the empty ground in front of the hall. That skinny old man was the one who brought them here. The fact that the Earth Immortal Old Man addressed this powerful old man as an immortal slave shocked the Iron Blood Taoist and the others. A powerful demi-saint was actually an immortal slave. Boom! The immortal slave directly used his strongest technique. With a wave of his hand, a towering flame immediately rushed towards Gu Zhong. Under the scorching heat of this divine flame, transparent ripples appeared in the void. This was not an ordinary immortal flame. Gu Zhong cultivated the power of metal, and fire was the nemesis of metal. In this clash between these two powers, he was actually at a disadvantage. Demi-saint. Gu Zhong's entire body emitted a golden radiance. Golden Tao runes appeared and interweaved into a mysterious diagram, triggering a mighty force of the heaven and earth. Chaotic reversal. Without any hesitation, Gu Zhong directly used one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao, the chaotic reversal secret art. The towering divine fire that was rushing towards him instantly lost its aim, and the fire was swept back towards the immortal slave. How is this possible? The immortal slave was shocked to the extreme. The divine flame he cultivated was actually redirected by someone. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it no matter what. Boom! The divine flame was instantly redirected. The immortal slave was so shocked that his movements slowed down. His clothes were instantly turned to ashes and white smoke rose from his head. 9 secrets of the immortal Tao. The Earth Immortal Old Man was incomparably shocked at this scene. The South Pole Immortal Manor was a colossal existence with an incomparably deep foundation. It was comparable to those supreme powers. No one dared to underestimate the South Pole Immortal Manor. As the younger brother of the South Pole Immortal Manor's Manor Lord, the Earth Immortal Old Man naturally knew many great secrets of the heaven and earth. The South Pole Immortal Sovereign had a single wish, and that was to collect all 9 secret arts. However, even an existence like the South Pole Immortal Sovereign wasn't able to obtain any of the 9 secret arts. Gu Fei's disciple. The Earth Immortal Old Man came to a realization. The opponent was Gu Fei's disciple. If the immortal slave harmed his life, the consequences would be unimaginable. Immortal slave, retreat! The Earth Immortal Old Man ordered. The skinny old man stopped, and no longer attacked Gu Zhong. Go back and tell your master that I, the Earth Immortal Old Man, am looking for him. Chapter 2177. The South Pole Immortal Mansion of Buzhou Ancestral Planet was a transcendent force deep within the divine sea of the South Pole. It was mysterious and powerful, and no one dared to provoke it. As the younger brother of the South Pole Immortal Mansion's master, Lu Xianweng's status was undoubtedly transcendent. As time went by, this younger brother of an immortal Venerable became complacent and looked down on the rest of the world. However, Lu Xianweng wasn't a fool since he was able to cultivate a quasi-Saint Dao fruit. He knew who he could kill and who he shouldn't provoke. As for those who he could kill directly, as long as they offended him, Earth Immortal Old Man would not be lenient, and would kill them right away. However, he was also wary of those he shouldn't provoke. There weren't many people on Buzhou Ancestral Planet that could make him wary, but Gu Fei was definitely one of them. He was also one of the people that Lu Xianweng didn't want to provoke the most. Gu Zhong was Gu Fei's first disciple. If the immortal slave injured him, or even killed him, Gu Fei would never let it go. He was a ruthless person who dared to offend even a supremacy clan. Lu Xianweng knew very well that no matter how famous his big brother was, he wouldn't care about such a ruthless person. One should know that the supremacy clan's name was famous enough, yet the other party didn't care. Ziyunshao was almost killed by Gu Fei's fist. This was something that all the cultivators on Buzhou Ancestral Planet knew. Ziyunshao was the most outstanding descendant of the supremacy clan. You want to see my master? Gu Shong came in front of Lu Xianweng and studied the old man from head to toe. He couldn't tell the depth of this person's cultivation. A quasi-saint? Gu Zhong smiled. This old man might be powerful, but he might not be a match for his master. Especially after his master had meditated for 10 years, he had become even more unfathomable. This Lu Xianweng's cultivation and strength were on par with Iron Blood Taoist. I have something that your master is interested in. I want to join forces with him, Immortal Lu Di said. It was definitely not a coincidence that Gu Fei's disciple had appeared in the third stage of the human race's ancient road. If they could invite Gu Fei over, things would be even more stable. What is it? Gu Zhong asked directly. Haha, as long as you invite your master over, you will know. Lu Xianweng didn't say what it was about, but this piqued the curiosity of Gu Zhong and the others. What was it that made them ask their master for help? My master isn't free right now. Let's wait until he's free. Gu Zhong pondered for a moment before saying these words. Haha, that's good. I have plenty of time. Whenever your master is free, you can come here to find me. Lu Xianwen wasn't displeased. He knew very well that Gu Fei wasn't someone who could be easily invited. It was just a spur-of-the-moment decision, so it didn't matter whether he was invited or not. He had already sent the news back, and he believed that his elder brother would soon send someone over. At that time, even if he didn't manage to invite Gu Fei, it wouldn't matter. All right, we will take our leave then. Gu Zhong cupped his fists at Lu Xianweng, then turned around and left. Yao Yu and the others quickly followed. Only the Iron Blood Taoist stood still. Old man, what are you planning? The Iron Blood Taoist's eyes flickered. A chilling murderous intent emanated from his body, causing the surrounding temperature to drop rapidly. Humph, Iron Blood Taoist, this has nothing to do with you. Lu Xianweng's expression turned cold. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the Iron Blood Taoist. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. The Iron Blood Taoist didn't say anything. He took a step forward and a powerful aura erupted from his body, heading straight for Lu Xianweng. Buzz! A rumble rang out in the air. Transparent ripples could be seen spreading out from the Iron Blood Taoist's body, causing the air to ripple. Sensing the powerful murderous intent from the Iron Blood Taoist, Lu Xianweng's expression turned solemn. An aura that was not inferior to the Iron Blood Taoist's emanated from his body. Compared to the Iron Blood Taoist's powerful and violent aura, Lu Xianweng's aura was like a spring breeze. It seemed weak, but it resisted the Iron Blood Taoist's aura. Spring breeze and rain, very good. The Iron Blood Taoist's eyes brightened. He was about to test the old man from the South Pole Immortal Mansion when Gu Shong's voice came from afar. Brother Iron, do you want to catch up with this old man here? Gu Zhong's voice came from afar. Although it wasn't loud, the iron-blood Taoist heard it clearly. Gu Fei's disciple is indeed extraordinary. Lu Xianweng's expression changed when he heard Gu Zhong's voice. He knew very well that this floating island was protected by a saint-grade formation. No sound would be able to travel very far on this divine island because of the power of the formation. However, Gu Zhong's voice was able to penetrate the power of the formation and reach this place. I'll let you off today. The iron-blood Taoist naturally knew that this fight was over. He withdrew his aura and turned to leave. Lu Xianweng didn't stop him. He didn't want to provoke Gu Fei at this time. Gu Zhong and the others left the floating island and returned to the ancient ruins on the ground. At this time, there were many cultivators gathered at the ancient ruins. The sky gradually darkened. Night was coming. The cultivators on the third stage of the human race's ancient road had already made this ancient ruins their stronghold. The great wilderness became even more dangerous after nightfall. However, there wasn't much danger in the ancient ruins because there were experts from great powers overseeing this place. This was especially true for the existence on the divine island in the sky. In fact, the human cultivators built a stronghold here mainly because the beasts in the great wilderness wouldn't dare to approach the ancient ruins even without experts guarding it. There seemed to be something in the ancient ruins that even the beasts of the great wilderness were afraid of. For powerful people, it wasn't difficult for them to find a temporary place to stay in the ancient city ruins, but it was a different situation for the weak. Gu Zhong and the others set up their tents in an area with a radius of about 1,000 feet in the northeast corner of the ancient city ruins, and started a bonfire in front of the tents. The 12th and 11th brothers of the 12 bandits entered the forest outside the ancient ruins. Very quickly, they hunted a divine deer. It was a divine deer with 5 colored antlers that weighed 200 to 300 jin. This deer's meat was quite good. They had hunted this kind of deer back on the Buzhou ancestral star. Very quickly, the 12th and 11th brothers prepared the deer and roasted it on the bonfire. A moment later, an appetizing meat aroma wafted through the air. It's been a long time since I've eaten such high-quality venison. Jade-faced Playboy couldn't help but swallow his saliva. The venison was roasted to a golden color, and the fat on it dripped onto the bonfire from time to time, making sizzling sounds. The 12th brother's skill in roasting venison is getting better. Shu Guiliang, the first bandit of the 12, couldn't help but praise. With everyone's cultivation, it didn't really matter whether they ate or not. However, the 12 bandits loved to eat and couldn't change some of their habits as bandits. They often ate large pieces of meat and drank large bowls of wine. After the venison was roasted, not to mention the others, even Yao Yu and Zhong Limeng were drooling. How can there be meat without wine? The third brother of the 12 bandits, the burly man, opened a storage space and took out a few jars of wine. Haha, third brother knows how to enjoy. The second bandit, Jade-faced Playboy, smiled and directly broke the seal of one of the jars of wine. The aroma of wine immediately drifted out of the jar. The aroma of the wine is strong but not strong. The wine is clear but not thick. It's indeed good wine. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out. Everyone was startled. Someone had actually appeared in their midst, but none of them had noticed it at all. Everyone hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice and saw a black-clothed, black-bearded old man sitting beside the third bandit. The black-bearded old man was holding a jar of wine and pouring it into a bowl with a broken corner. Who are you? Gu Zhong suddenly stood up from the ground. At this moment, everyone was extremely nervous. Some of them even secretly took out their divine weapons. As soon as the old man made any strange movements, everyone would attack without hesitation. Even the iron-blood Taoist narrowed his eyes when he saw the old man. How did this old man appear? Even he did not sense it. This person must be a saint who had sealed himself. The iron-blood Taoist's expression became solemn when he thought of that. If this was really in existence like that, he might not be able to handle it. Haha, don't be nervous. I'm just here to ask for a bowl of wine. As the black-bearded old man spoke, he directly put the jar of wine away. Then, he raised the bowl with a broken corner and drank it in big mouthfuls. Good wine. The black-bearded old man drank all the wine in the bowl in one gulp. He even licked his lips, as if he wanted to continue. Everyone looked at the mysterious old man who had suddenly appeared. Apart from his black robe, he also had a fist-sized purple gourd on his waist. Impossible! When the iron-blood Taoist saw the purple gourd on the old man's waist, his expression immediately changed. A look of disbelief appeared on his face. He thought of a legendary person. Chapter 2178. Senior, could you be the legendary wine sword saint? The iron-blood Taoist's voice trembled. This was a legendary existence that looked very similar to this old man. Black clothes and a purple gourd, he looked exactly like a sloppy old man. This was very similar to the legendary wine sword saint, a legendary figure of Buzhou ancestral star. Legend has it that he once fought against a golden sovereign. This was an existence comparable to a sovereign before reaching the Tao. In the end, the golden sovereign won and became the extreme sovereign of Buzhou ancestral star. As for the wine sword saint, he failed to break through his limit and become a sovereign. Wine sword saint! The 12 bandits were shocked. They looked at the sloppy old man in a different light. If this old man was really the wine sword saint, it would be enough to shake the world. The sloppy old man didn't say anything. After he finished the big bowl of wine, he reached out and tore off a hind leg from the deer on the bonfire. He then ate it by himself. Delicious, not bad, the sloppy old man said vaguely. His mouth was full of grease as he ate. Not long after, he had finished the entire deer leg that weighed around 20 to 15 kilograms. Why aren't you guys eating? The sloppy old man said embarrassedly when he saw everyone looking at him in shock. Senior, you're welcome. The iron-blood Taoist smiled. Gu Zhong and the rest were shocked to see the iron-blood Taoist trying to please this unassuming sloppy old man. Could this old man really have a great background? Senior, what's going on? Yao Yu transmitted her voice to Gu Zhong. Let's watch first. Gu Zhong transmitted his voice back. He noticed that the sloppy old man seemed to be glancing at him when Yao Yu transmitted her voice to him. Could it be that the sloppy old man sensed their conversation? All right, now that I'm full, it's time for this old man to take a rest. The sloppy old man stood up from the ground and casually wiped his hands on his clothes. After wiping away the grease on his hands, he prepared to leave. Senior, you're leaving now? Junior still has something to ask you. The iron-blood Taoist hurriedly stood up when he saw the sloppy old man leaving. Hearing this, the sloppy old man looked deeply at the iron-blood Taoist, then said, Since I've eaten your food, I'll give these to you. The old man did not say anything. With a wave of his sleeves, he disappeared from where he was standing. At the place where he was standing, there were 3 items. Everyone was shocked. The old man came and went without a trace. As expected, he was a peerless expert. Even the iron-blood Taoist did not see how the old man left. This is... When everyone's gaze fell on the 3 items on the ground, they looked at each other and were speechless for a long time. Everyone felt very surprised. The 3 items on the ground were a long sword, a short axe, and a black and swarthy umbrella with a few holes on it. The sword was an ancient sword, and one could tell at a glance that it didn't have a scabbard. The blade of the sword was covered in rust, as if it would turn into a pile of rust with just a touch. The axe was also an ancient weapon, so its corrosion was no less than that of the sword. However, this was not the thing that surprised Gu Zhong and the others. What really surprised them was that there was not a single trace of spiritual qi on the 3 items. What's going on? Everyone was confused. Even if these 3 items were thrown on the street, no one would pick them up. They were simply scrap metal. After being stunned for a while, Gu Zhong walked forward and reached out to pick up the rusty sword. Gu Zhong only felt his hand sink. The rusty long sword was actually very heavy. Even with his powerful martial body, he was still taken aback. This? Gu Zhong held the rusty sword, his face filled with shock. The sword that seemed to be completely corroded by the rust was actually hundreds of thousands of pounds. Even an immortal-level existence would find it extremely strenuous to use such a heavy weapon. Only those who possess divine power would be able to use it freely. Senior Yu, Yao Yu was very surprised. Could there be something special about these 3 items? She stepped forward and tried to pick up the hatchet. So heavy. Although Yao Yu picked up the axe, she was also very surprised. This axe was very heavy, at least a few thousand pounds. It was only 2 feet long, but it was actually so heavy. What's strange? At this time, Zhong Li Meng also noticed Gu Zhong and Yao Yu's expressions. He bent down and picked up the broken umbrella. Zhong Li Meng was also very surprised. Is it very heavy? Yao Yu asked. She thought that the broken umbrella would be very heavy. However, Zhong Li Meng shook his head and said, Very light. How can it be so light? It's like air, as if it's not there. How is this possible? Very light. Gu Zhong and Yao Yu were startled. The rusty sword and the axe were extremely heavy, but the broken umbrella was very light. These 3 items were indeed not ordinary. If that person is really the Wine Sword Saint, then these 3 items must have an extraordinary origin. The Iron Blood Taoist pondered for a while and said, Wine Sword Saint? Who is he? Gu Zhong looked at the Iron Blood Taoist. What? You haven't even heard of the Wine Sword Saint? The Iron Blood Taoist exclaimed. Even the 12 bandits were surprised that Gu Zhong didn't know who the Wine Sword Saint was. One should know that there weren't many people who didn't know who the Wine Sword Saint was. The Wine Sword Saint was a supreme existence that once competed with the Golden Sovereign for the position of sovereign. He was widely recognized as the existence closest to the sovereign level. Although the Gold Sovereign had become an utmost exalt in the end, he still greatly admired the Wine Sword Saint. After becoming an utmost exalt, he did not attack the Wine Sword Saint. After listening to the Iron Blood Taoist's introduction, Gu Zhong realized that the Wine Sword Saint was such a powerful existence. In the end, the rusty sword was taken by Gu Zhong, the axe fell into Yao Yu's hands, and the broken umbrella was taken by Zhong Li Meng. The Iron Blood Taoist and the 12 bandits didn't think that there was anything wrong with this. They were Gu Fei's subordinates, while Gu Zhong's group was Gu Fei's disciple. Only old Jiao didn't get anything. However, the 3 items didn't look like much. Although old Jiao didn't get anything, he wasn't dissatisfied. He only wanted the most suitable divine tool for himself. Senior brother, when will Master come out and meet up with us? Yao Yu asked. At this time, everyone began to eat and drink. They were no longer so nervous. I don't know. Master could come out at any time. What we can do now is wait. Also, we need to understand what happened in the past 10 years. Chapter 2179. The night wind was very cold. Bonfires were lit on the ruins of the ancient city. After nightfall, the cultivators in the great wilderness had all returned to this place. The 3rd stage of the ancient road of the human race was definitely not a good place. Some people survived and returned to the ancient city, but there were also people who never returned. Soon, the 12th and 11th brothers of the 12 bandits returned. The 12th and 11th brothers told everyone what they had found out. It turned out that the super forces on Buzhou ancestral star were really repairing the ancient road of the human race. Some extremely powerful existences had set foot on the ancient road and repaired the various strongholds in the starry sky. In the past 10 years, the super forces on Buzhou ancestral star had sent experts to the depths of the endless starry sky along the ancient road to rebuild strongholds for those who came later. The repair of the ancient road of the human race was definitely not simple. The 3rd stage of the ancient road of the human race was only one of the strongholds that the super forces had repaired. This stronghold was very important because there was actually a self-sealed sacred beast in the great wilderness. A self-sealed sacred beast was more dangerous than a self-proclaimed sage. 10 years ago, the Z siblings and the Golden Goddess had joined forces to scare away the divine ape in the depths of the great wilderness. After the Z siblings and the Golden Goddess left, the experts of the super forces who came later inevitably encountered the divine ape, when they arrived at the third stage of the ancient road of the human race. After a great battle, the divine ape retreated to the depths of the great wilderness. However, more than half of the experts from the super forces had died and suffered heavy losses. In the end, they still rebuilt the stronghold and built many pavilions and terraces on the ancient city ruins. In recent years, the divine ape in the depths of the great wilderness had quietened down. Meanwhile, there were more and more cultivators on Buzhou ancestral star. These people were all experts who wanted to go on the holy road. The cultivators who came to the third stage of the ancient road of the human race had all entered the great wilderness outside the ancient city ruins to hunt powerful wild beasts, or to fight endlessly with wild beasts to train themselves. The human race hunted the wild beasts, but the wild beast kings turned around and hunted the human race cultivators. The cruel laws of the great wilderness were playing out here. The golden goddess has left, Gu Zhong muttered to himself. Gu Zhong mumbled to himself. The golden goddess had already left the third stage of the ancient road of the human race. This caused him to feel somewhat astonished. This golden goddess had always wanted to fight against his master, but she never had the chance to do so. The golden goddess didn't expect that Gu Fei would cultivate in seclusion for 10 years. Moreover, she didn't know when Gu Fei would come out. She could only continue forward. She wanted to wait for Gu Fei's arrival at the end of this ancient path. Zi Yunxiao and his sister had also appeared. Gu Zhong and the others were all very shocked. Zi Yunxiao and his sister were definitely powerful existences, and were also Gu Fei's opponents. Especially Zi Yunxiao, he had almost died in Gu Fei's hands back then. Zi Yunxiao's skills were not as good as others. Back then, he had lost wholeheartedly, but this time, he had made a comeback and had even brought his little sister. To Gu Fei, this opponent was even stronger. However, Gu Zhong knew that the stronger the opponent, the happier his master would be. Many talented people had embarked on the ancient road of the human race. Among them were people with apex bloodlines, peerless geniuses from the Buzhou demon race, and a bald young man from the eastern arrival sacred territory. Some hidden clans had also sent their most outstanding geniuses to embark on the ancient road of the human race. The ancient road of the human race was no longer deserted. What truly shocked Gu Zhong and the others was that a chaos well had appeared in the depths of the great wilderness of the human race's third stage. Many people wanted to know what was inside the chaos well, so they took the risk to enter it. However, everyone who entered the chaos well seemed to have disappeared. No one was able to walk out of the chaos well. Could it be that the Earth Immortal Old Man is looking for master for this matter? Gu Zhong recalled what happened today. Could it be that the Earth Immortal Old Man wanted to join forces with his master to explore the chaos well? The chaos well was a bottomless well that sucked in and spat out primordial chaos. No one knew where it led to, and the aura of primordial chaos was vast and mighty. The terrain of the divine well was very particular. There was an entrance right in front of the well, and behind it was a huge mountain with a dome that looked like a black tortoise crouching on the ground. Its back was against the black tortoise, and the mountain ridge on the left was like a winding dragon. From afar, it looked like the dragon was about to soar into the sky and transform into a real dragon. On the right of the chaos well was a huge mountain that looked like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain. This kind of terrain was what the geomancers in the mortal world called the green dragon on the left, and the white tiger on the right. It didn't seem like it was a coincidence that the chaos well had appeared here. Under the moonlight, a figure silently appeared at the top of the green dragon mountain to the left of the chaos well and looked at the chaos well. Sigh, I didn't expect to see him. The person standing at the top of the mountain was an old man in black robes with a small purple gourd tied to his waist. This old man was the sloppy old man that Gu Zhong and the others had met. The Iron Blood Taoists suspected that this old man was the legendary Wine Sword Saint. After letting out a sigh, the sloppy old man disappeared without a trace like a gust of wind. Many cultivators were stationed in the area where the chaos well was located, but none of them noticed the arrival of the sloppy old man. Meanwhile, Gu Zhong and the others couldn't wait any longer. They left the ancient city ruins under the cover of the night, soared into the sky, and quickly disappeared into the distance. Apart from Gu Fei and the others, there were no more than 10 people who dared to leave the ancient city ruins at night in the entire third stage of the human race's ancient road. Meanwhile, on the floating island above the ancient city ruins, an old man walked into a pavilion. Soon, the old man walked out of the pavilion. Those fellas simply don't know what's good for them. This was the voice that came from the pavilion. Then, there was no more sound. That's the Chaos Well. The place where the Chaos Well appeared wasn't that far from the ancient city ruins, so Gu Zhong and the others quickly arrived at the area near the Chaos Well. They saw a huge stream of chaotic energy rushing out of the valley in the middle of the 3 mountains. The chaotic energy emitted a terrifying fluctuation. The entire valley was shrouded in a layer of chaotic energy. This seems to be a passageway. The Iron Blood Taoist voiced his doubts. A passageway. Everyone was shocked to hear this. No one doubted the Iron Blood Taoist's judgment because his cultivation level was the highest there. Could he have sensed something? Chapter 2180. The Chaos Well was taking in and spitting out the Chaos Chi. It was as though there was a chaotic world evolving within it, giving off a tremendous pressure. Gu Zhong and the others realized that there were quite a number of powerful beings of the human race gathered in the vicinity of the Chaos Well. However, all of them were just observing, and none of them dared to approach the well. Roar! Just as Gu Zhong and the others were about to retreat for the time being, a tiger's roar rang out from the distance. A gigantic tiger with a pair of wings on its back bolted over from the distance. Qiong Qi! Upon seeing this tiger, Gu Zhong's eyes immediately lit up. This tiger was the ferocious beast that he had wanted to subdue and make it his mount 10 years ago. This tiger possessed the bloodline of the ancient beast, Qiong Qi. Even though the bloodline of the ancient beast was not as pure as it used to be, it was still extremely strong. With a single flap of its wings, it could travel thousands of miles away. Its speed was so fast that it was unimaginable for the both of them. The tiger came to a small hill near the Chaos Well and glared at the Chaos Well before it. It had no intention of entering the well, and was just observing from the sidelines. All humans scram! Otherwise, I'll eat all of you up! The tiger stood at the peak of the small hill and scanned its surroundings. Its eyes shone with a ferocious glint, and its entire body was filled with a murderous aura. Roar! Who do you think you are? You're nothing but a big cat! Someone was unhappy and jumped out, pointing at the big tiger on the small mountain, and said coldly. The tiger did not reply. With a jerk of its head, it opened its mouth wide and tried to devour that human. A heaven-devouring power rippled out. What? That human was taken aback. He had not expected this tiger to be this domineering and strike out just like that. His entire body flew up into the air and flew towards the mouth of the tiger. Without any suspense, the human cultivator was directly swallowed into the tiger's stomach. Looking at this scene, everyone was shocked beyond words. To think that this tiger could devour a powerful being of the human race in a single gulp. That was a cultivation state that was extremely frightening. Scram! The tiger roared angrily and scanned its surroundings. No one dared to make eye contact with this tiger. When the tiger's gaze swept over, many of them retracted their gazes, not wanting to offend this tiger. How majestic! Just as Dahu was about to display his might, a voice suddenly sounded. Who's tired of living? Dahu widened his eyes and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a dozen or so human cultivators standing on a mountain not too far away. Kill! Without any hesitation, without even seeing who it was, the tiger leaped from the hill and pounced towards the top of the hill. Humph! A cold snort sounded from the top of the mountain, and a figure walked out from the crowd. It's you. Just as the tiger was about to pounce on the top of the mountain, it saw that person. It immediately roared and soared into the sky, hiding far away. Ha 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 ha, big cat, come, I'll let you eat. Gu Zhong soared into the sky and closed in on Dahu. That gigantic tiger was beyond astounded. Not in a million years would it have thought that this human would appear once more. Not only that, His cultivation state seemed to have risen by quite a bit as well. The moment they heard Gu Zhong call that gigantic tiger Big Cat, everyone was taken aback. One had to know that this tiger was a ruthless character. The moment it appeared, it wanted to clear the entire place. Turning around, the tiger left immediately. This human was not to be trifled with. The moment everyone caught sight of this, they were dumbfounded. To think that the beast would retreat just like that. It was as though it was scared off by that human. Who in the world could scare off a beast like that? Heis, Big Cat, don't go. We should sit down and talk about life and reason. As Gu Zhong said that, he deployed his 8 steps extreme speed and closed in on that gigantic tiger. Shoo! Looking at how Gu Zhong had caught up to it, the tiger could not help but be startled. Flapping its wings with all its might, it bolted forward and flew 1,000 miles away. Where do you think you're going? Gu Zhong used the 8 desolation steps. Each time he took a step, a doubt pattern would appear beneath his feet. The void before him seemed as though it was being folded up as he traversed through it. Very quickly, the 2 figures disappeared into the horizon. On top of the short mountain, Yao Yu, the iron-blood Taoist, and the rest were startled. Gu Zhong actually chased after that gigantic tiger? Could it be that he had not given up and wanted to tame this beast? It wasn't a secret that Gu Zhong wanted to subdue a powerful creature and make it his mount. Yao Yu and the rest set up camp on top of the short mountain. They had to pay close attention to the chaos well that was breathing out chaotic qi. Rumble. Just as they settled down, a series of thunderous sounds came from afar. Following that, a gigantic object appeared in everyone's vision. Everyone was incomparably shocked. Humph, that fella still loves to show off. The iron-blood Taoist sneered. Far in the sky, a divine island was rushing towards the chaos well. Very quickly, a divine island appeared in the middle of the mountain. The people from the South Pole Immortal Manor had arrived. That Earth Immortal Old actually moved the levitating island here. Someone recognized the divine island. It was the master of the South Pole Immortal Manor, the younger brother of the South Pole Immortal Sovereign. Earth Immortal Old's arrival had greatly increased the strength of the human race. Some of the nearby savage beasts had no choice but to retreat further away. Bang! 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 At this time, heavy footsteps came from afar. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw an incomparably tall figure appear in the mountains. It was a divine ape, even taller than a mountain. The mountains around it only reached its waist. This was definitely a behemoth. A saint-level savage beast. Even the iron-blood Taoist expression changed when he sensed the powerful aura coming from the divine ape. He didn't expect to encounter a saint-level savage beast in such a situation. The divine ape stopped 12 miles away from the chaos well. It was also apprehensive and didn't want to approach the chaos well carelessly. Bang! When the divine ape saw the island in the sky, it threw a punch at the island. It was extremely ferocious, as if it wanted to blow up the island. Huge claws covered the entire sky. The divine ape was incomparably powerful. Bzzz. When the huge claws were about to hit the divine island, the sky suddenly trembled. Countless runes rushed out of the divine island, interweaving into mysterious and ancient patterns. Boom! Chapter 2181. The levitating island was no ordinary island. It was a divine item personally refined by the South Pole Celestial Reverend. The South Pole Celestial Reverend was a ruthless man in ancient times. Although the great desolate divine ape was extremely powerful, and it was an existence that had sealed its cultivation base and realm, its attack could not shake the island in the sky. A sacred grade formation. The great desolate divine ape was shocked. If it could remove the seal on itself, it might be able to break the seal that was covering the entire island. However, the great desolate divine ape knew very well that it was impossible for it to break the sage-class formation and destroy the island in the sky in its current state. The great desolate divine ape did not attack again, which made the cultivators on the island heave a sigh of relief. Old ape, do you want to fight? The earth immortal old man's voice came from the island. Humph, cowardly old turtle, come out and fight me if you dare. The great desolate divine ape spoke in human language. In recent years, it had interacted with the earth immortal old man many times. There was no need for it to be afraid of this old man. The one that the great desolate divine ape was afraid of was the expert behind the earth immortal old man. The great desolate divine ape knew the background of the earth immortal old man. The South Pole celestial reverend was too famous on Bujo ancestral star. The earth immortal old man represented the South Pole celestial abode. Boom! At this moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly shot out from the island and struck at the great desolate divine ape. Wherever the lightning passed, the void was directly torn apart. Just as the lightning struck, a layer of light suddenly appeared on the great desolate celestial ape's body. The lightning struck the layer of light. The light shield on the great desolate divine ape's body vibrated and blocked the lightning. Old turtle, you still don't dare to come out? Then you can hide in there for the rest of your life. The great desolate divine ape stared at the island in the sky and said coldly. Murderous aura emanated from its body. It was obvious that it wanted to kill the earth immortal old man. Although the powerful great desolate divine ape was afraid of the person behind the earth immortal old man, it would still kill the earth immortal old man if he provoked it. Rumble! Lightning kept appearing on the heavenly divine island. Huge bolts of lightning as big as mountains fell from the heavenly divine island, bombarding towards the great desolate divine ape. It was like a punishment from the heavens. The destructive power spread out in the world. You old turtle, are you done yet? The great desolate celestial ape was enraged. He grabbed a mountain beside him and smashed it towards the island in the sky. Boom! The huge mountain exploded in the sky. It was smashed into pieces by the lightning that came from the divine island. Dust flew everywhere and rocks flew everywhere. The mountain was in chaos. So powerful! When some people saw this scene, they started to retreat into the distance. If Master was here, Yao Yu thought of Gu Fei. That old ape was extremely powerful, and there was the aura of the divine path lingering around him. Even though she was very far away, she still felt suffocated. Perhaps only Gu Fei could fight against such a powerful being. However, Gu Fei had not come out of his inner world yet. At this time, the earth immortal old man gradually stopped attacking the great desolate divine ape. Because unless his brother, the South Pole immortal Venerable, came, no one could fight against this old ape. Although the great wilderness celestial ape had sealed its sage-level cultivation and power, its physical body was a genuine sage-level body. Clear the area? Scram if you don't want to die. The great desolate divine ape's voice was heard by every living being in the surrounding area. It was extremely domineering and wanted to monopolize the chaos well. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed. They knew that this divine ape was the strongest saint beast in the great wilderness, and had ruled the great wilderness for countless years. If the great desolate divine ape decided to go all out, the consequences would be dire. Therefore, all living beings started to retreat, including Yao Yu and the others. Nobody doubted the great desolate divine ape's ability. It was powerful enough to defeat everyone. That is, at this moment, the great desolate divine ape suddenly stared at Old Dragon. Then, the great desolate divine ape stepped forward and stopped Yao Yu and the others. A real dragon. The great desolate divine ape stared at Old Dragon, surprised that it could see a real dragon. Greetings, Senior. Old Dragon hurriedly bowed to the great desolate divine ape. Hee hee. The great desolate divine ape didn't say anything. It extended its hand and tried to grab Old Dragon. Whoosh. Old Dragon felt something was wrong. He hurriedly performed his 8-step speed and took a step to the side, dodging the great desolate divine ape's attack. What? The great desolate divine ape was startled. It was surprised that the real dragon could dodge its attack. How did it do that? Could it be because of that footwork? Let me eat it so you don't have to suffer. The great desolate divine ape's eyes emitted a fearsome light as it spoke coldly. The blood of a real dragon was a rare treasure to every cultivator. In the ancient times, many almighties used the blood of a real dragon to create many heaven-defying spiritual medicines. Even if they directly devoured the blood of a real dragon, it could still increase the cultivator's cultivation base and power. You want to eat me? Old Dragon was shocked. This guy really didn't have any good intentions. Chapter 2182. The great desolate god ape was extremely powerful. To think that it would stop Yao Yu and the others and try to devour Old Serpent. Everyone was extremely shocked. This was because they were not facing any ordinary beast. This was a beast that had sealed its own cultivation base. Although this same beast had sealed its saint-level cultivation, it still possessed a genuine saint physique. Just the aura emanating from its saint physique alone was enough to suffocate everyone. Just as the great desolate god ape was about to strike, a voice rang out from behind him. Shh! The great desolate god ape turned around instantly. Unknowingly, there was someone standing behind him. It was a young cultivator of the human race. Another one who's here to die! The great desolate god ape did not sense any aura from this human young man that it was wary of. He was just like a mortal without any cultivation base. Return to simplicity. It was this ordinariness that caused the eyes of the great desolate god ape to brighten up. It was hard to imagine that there was someone from the human race who could cultivate to such a state. This human before him had already come into contact with that level of cultivation base. However, he had yet to go through heaven's tribulation. Seemed like this human knew some secrets of this world. You're the one who's going to eat my disciple. The young cultivator looked at the great desolate god ape expressionlessly. The powerful aura of the great desolate god ape did not affect him at all. Humph! Not only am I going to eat your disciple, I'm going to eat you too. The great desolate god ape looked at Gu Fei with a look of madness in its eyes. It could already tell that Gu Fei's physical body state was extremely tough, and the blood energy within his body was extremely vigorous. Any human with vigorous blood energy would have more essence within their body. This essence within their blood energy was even more useful than the purest essence. Devouring the essence, spirit, and vitality of a human cultivator like this would allow it to raise its cultivation base rapidly. Let's see who's going to eat who then. Gu Fei chuckled. Even though this great desolate god ape was strong, the problem was that this great desolate god ape could not release the seal on its body. Therefore, it could not unleash the power of a sage. Given Gu Fei's current cultivation base, as long as it wasn't a sage, it would be hard for anyone to threaten his life. How dare a mere ant act so insolently in front of me? It's been so many years since something like this has happened. The great desolate god ape let out a cruel look. Shwa! The great desolate god ape did not want to waste his breath on Gu Fei any longer. Stretching out his right hand, he grabbed out at Gu Fei. Against such a weak human, there was no way he could be serious. The godly ape's right claw emitted 5 rays of divine light, like 5 divine chains. With a clanging sound, they wrapped around Gu Fei. Hey! Gu Fei also extended his right hand and punched forward. Clang! The incomparably powerful fist energy collided with the 5 divine chains. The 5 divine chains seemed to have collided with an invisible wall, and were all sent flying. Eh? The great desolate divine ape was clearly taken aback. He had never expected that such a weak ant would be able to withstand his attack. One must know that any existence below the saint rank would not be able to resist his attack. Rumble! After Gu Fei's fist force broke through the divine technique of the great barren divine ape, its power continued to increase. The void let out a rumbling sound like muffled thunder. What? This time, the great desolate god ape was truly shocked. Just as the great desolate god ape was stunned, the speed of Gu Fei's fist suddenly increased. The power of the entire fist was at its strongest state. The great desolate god ape was shocked. At this moment, it wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Pun! Gu Fei's fist fiercely hit the great desolate divine ape's nose. A string of blood immediately spurted out, and the ape was sent flying. Roar! The great desolate god ape roared. He was sent flying by a puny human, This was unbelievable. At the same time, he was furious. The great desolate god ape stopped retreating. You have angered me. Very well. The great desolate god ape laughed out of anger. Terrifying vibrations exploded from his body and mysterious Tao patterns appeared. Among the countless Tao patterns, 9 of them were the brightest. This is... Seeing this, Gu Fei was shocked. This holy beast was not simple. He had cultivated 9 Tao patterns. Was he going to imitate human emperor and seal himself with 9 Tao patterns? Sealing himself with 9 Tao patterns could help him avoid the destructive power that was above the way of heaven and earth. It would allow a saint-level being to display the power of a saint-level being. However, the great desolate god ape obviously did not have the cultivation of human emperor. They were not at the same level. It was hard for him to seal himself and remove the seal. I don't care if you are angry or not. Gu Fei took a step forward and got close to the great desolate god ape. At this moment, strong Tao patterns appeared on Gu Fei's body. He punched again. This time, Gu Fei's fist was covered with Tao patterns, and he had activated the power of Great Path. Boom! The great desolate god ape was extremely arrogant. He also punched and clashed with Gu Fei. He wanted to overwhelm Gu Fei, who was a weak human, with his physical body. The physical body of a holy beast was much stronger than that of a human. Especially a holy beast that had become a saint, its physical body was unimaginably strong. Very strong. Gu Fei felt as if his fist had struck a piece of indestructible divine metal. Even his bones felt as if they were about to shatter. This made him very shocked. He was very close to that level. His martial body was also transforming into a holy body. It could even be said that his martial body had transformed to the point where it was only a step away from becoming a real holy body. Moreover, after 10 years of meditation, Gu Fei thought that he could compete with a divine implement. However, he realized just how strong a real holy body was. At the very least, the physical body of this great desolate god ape was stronger than his. Gu Fei was sent flying backward. The power that was transmitted through his right fist was way too strong. It sent him flying dozens of miles away. The entire sleeve of his arm was ripped apart, revealing that muscular arm of his. Roar! Gu Fei jerked his right arm. The power that had invaded his arm was forced out immediately. At the same time, the great desolate god ape wasn't feeling too good either. The power of that punch from Gu Fei had sent him flying as well. There was a numbing sensation on his arm. How could the physical body of a human be this strong? The great desolate god ape was shocked to the max. To think that this human could take a punch from him and not die. And to think that this human wasn't even a saint. Could this human be the successor of that legendary being?